On this episode of Watch Stuff with Us, The Pit, episodes 1 and 2, the good, the bad, and what we want to see. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with Us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And we are back covering The Pit, a new show on HBO Max.
It's
So
pretty
please,
cool.
please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and also hit that notification bell because we will be talking about this and many other shows in the year of our Lord 2025. So let's go ahead and get this started. Enough with all the intros. Let's jump into what we liked about The Pit episodes 1 and 2. The first thing that I would say that I liked was the pacing. Like, it's fast paced. The show like goes from patient to patient to patient. It really follows our main character as a doctor and like just goes along with what he's doing. And you kind of divert into the other doctors and stuff as well, but you end up following each and every character that's in the show. So all the patients, you kind of just roll along with them. You see them sort of develop as the episode goes along. And I think that the concept of the show is just one day in the life of all these doctors and patients. So I think the show is 15 episodes. So I think we're going to get 15 hours of their day. So probably just like one shift.
Right. They do work extremely long shifts, so this is pretty normal timing.
Yeah, so I mean, I like that about it. I like that it is sort of condensed into that.
Hmm.
You get a lot of intensity, you get a lot of development for the patients. Like, you sort of see what they're going through because as an ER person, like if you went to the ER, all you know is what's going on with you. So that's kind of what we get from their perspective.
Sure.
We get a little bit of background on the doctors, but not very much. Um, I also like that the realism is there. It's kind of vulgar, I guess, like a little bit morbid, a little bit gory. Like, there was a person who had gotten burned or electrocuted. That's what happened.
Yep. Which
Um,
results in the burns.
right. And they had to like sort of cut open his skin in order to relieve the pressure.
Correct.
There was a person who had dove onto a train track or maybe had been pushed. We don't know for sure yet, but they had a nasty wound to their lower leg and they just showed how mangled it was and like actually manipulated it to get it back in a place so that they could set the bone.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was rough. Like, it was hard to watch that, but I kind of like that it was real like that.
Now, I watch a lot of doctor shows. I've watched almost all of Grey's. I watched all The Resident. I never watched ER, but I watch a lot of doctor shows, real doctor shows, and fictional. And no, the realism of this is fantastic. I am used to using the scalpel, everybody's cutting in and seeing all that from the other shows, but this was definitely more realistic looking. I don't know if the the budget was better or what, but they definitely brought the realistic body parts more so to this one than they
Yeah.
did to some
Yeah.
of the other shows.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Um, Obviously, all the doctor talk. It's what you hear in the other shows, a little bit more fast paced. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
I like the real conversations that you saw take place in the show too. Like,
Yeah.
there were conversations between the doctors that just seemed like real stuff. You saw a little bit of small talk because I don't think that they really have a ton of time to do all that. So you saw a little bit of that, a
Hmm.
little bit of like world and character building like that, but you saw a lot of the conversations that the doctors had with their patients and the people they were taking care of. So
Right. There
it,
wasn't as much. Sorry, there
no, go
wasn't
ahead.
as much fluff to the episodes as other fictional doctor shows are. It doesn't have like the romanticizing between the characters or the drama in their home lives. And
Mm.
I mean, I know that there's a little bit of trauma that the main character, had endured with the loss of his mentor. And I think we're getting into that a little bit more. I don't know how much we're going to get into that in one day. But besides that, though, there doesn't seem to be too much so far, too much fluff.
Yeah, it seems like they want to get into his past life a little bit. And of course, this is the anniversary of his mentor's death. So I
Mm-hmm.
think they said it had been 4 years. So you know that that's going to come up eventually more and more as the series sort of wears on. But yeah, like you said, that's a perfect way to phrase it, is that there's no fluff. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is just boom, boom, boom. It's intense. Like
Yeah.
it can be kind of rough. Like there was the point where they had to go and tell one of the parents that their son was brain dead, and you could like they sort of went from patient to patient through the other ones who had been in the show, and you could still like hear the mom crying in the background. So like
Mm-hmm.
it was just like that level of kind of like realness is really cool to see in a, you know, produced drama and not something that's supposed to be actually real.
Right. In other medical shows, they don't usually show the other patients that are there. They just show them all individually. They don't show what's going on with one patient, like how that mother had been crying. They don't usually pan to then the other patients that are there.
Mm, mm,
And this was neat because I mean it is more realistic because you're seeing what everybody else is viewing when they're there. They obviously, if you're in an ER, you
yeah,
hear, you see things.
yeah.
So that was definitely more involved. Like they were actually, I don't know how to phrase it. They're
It
actually
wasn't like fictionalized. You
right,
know, like it
right.
like you felt like you were like just had a seat in the ER
Yeah, you
and you were
felt
like
like
one
you
of the
were
doctors.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You felt like you were one of the doctors and were just like following them around the whole time.
yeah. That viewpoint's really cool.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about what we like, let's talk about a little bit about what we don't like. Um, I kind of don't like that it's just one day in the life. I think that that's something that's going to take a little bit of time to get used to. It is different for most shows. I know, like back in the day, they had the show 24 that was amazing, and they sort of dealt with only one day, so 24 hours. And they were able to tell a good and compelling story like that. I think it's a little bit jarring for us because you don't get a lot of shows like that now. And this being the first one that we've really had, or at least the first one that I've watched since 24, it's kind of hard to fall into that sort of groove that you're only getting one day in their life.
Yes, I agree. The pacing is definitely different than anything I've ever experienced. I am nervous about the fact that since it is only one day, there might not be much buildup with the characters. And I know that's just me asking then, I guess, for a little fluff, but I feel like, yes, they see a lot of patients every day. So I'm sure, obviously, we're going to have more patients coming and going throughout the episodes, but it's just one shift for the doctors. So, I
Right.
mean, if I think about one day at work for myself, how interesting is it really? Like how much do I talk to coworkers? How much do I see? How much do I do? I couldn't make my day at work into 15 episodes of a show
Right.
for real. So,
Right. And I think that sort of leads into the second thing that we felt that we didn't like about it was that you don't really care about the doctors, or at least not at this point, through 2 episodes. I don't care about the doctors individually yet. Like, I mean, they're doctors. I don't care about anybody's sort of backstory. You're building up the characters. Like, you have these character sort of archetypes. You have the one that's funny and sarcastic, female doctor. Then you have another one who's very rigid and reserved.
mhm.
Then you have the one that's very like meek, humble, shy,
Mhm.
scared, bleeding heart type lady.
The young Amy
um
Adams.
right, yes, yes, I love her though.
She
Like,
looked
she's
like a
actually
young
my
Amy
favorite.
Adams.
She's my favorite.
She
Then
always on the verge of tears.
Right. Then you have the one handsome doctor who isn't very um who might not be, or at least they portray him to be not quite as bright as everybody else, more so just going on his looks. Then you have the other doctor who's sort of nerdy
And
and
then you got the chick that's like kind of edgy.
right.
So
Right.
yeah,
So yeah, it's like they fit into stereotypes. And then like you have the one doctor who's super young.
hmm
Like it's just yeah. I don't know if I enjoy that aspect of the show as much as being able to have these characters be somebody that I enjoy and that I want to know more about.
I feel like I'm going to like watching the patients more and what goes on with them that I'm going to watch the storyline with the doctors themselves, which
Mhm.
is completely flipped from most shows that are medical related. Usually, you're more involved in what the doctors are doing during their shifts and with their patients, as opposed to just like what the patients are doing every day,
Right.
and not care about the doctors. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I also feel like the professionalism of the show kind of makes it dry. Like at times it doesn't
It
seem,
does.
it seems like someone, like literally they just threw you in there, and like they use a lot of the jargon that you use in medical shows. And I know like she's a medical show vet, so she knows a lot of the stuff that they were talking about already.
I was already saying what
Me,
was wrong with them before it showed
yep,
up was wrong with
yep.
them.
Me on the other hand, like no, I don't know any of that stuff. So some of it was going over my head, and I was like, I don't know if I really want to hear this or if I understand exactly what they're saying.
So it's harder for you to follow because you don't know. It's like they're speaking another language. You didn't understand
Exactly.
what they were
Exactly.
talking about. Yeah, I can
Exactly.
get that because it was more in depth than even the other shows that I've watched. Those use the medical terminology as well, but this was like they were just spewing out like paragraphs of medical stuff at a time, and yeah, I was getting bits and pieces, but I definitely don't speak fluent medical doctorism.
Are you sure? You
Uh,
were quoting some stuff like
uh,
you knew what stuff was gonna happen before it happened. You were saying what medications they were gonna use before they used them, like what procedures they were gonna do before they did them. Like she was killing me. I was like, oh wow,
I mean, in
you're a
case of
pro.
emergency, I think I could probably help prolong somebody's life a little bit longer.
At least a few seconds.
Hopefully more than
All
that. A few minutes. I don't know.
right, now that we talked about what we don't like, let's talk about what we want to see next. Um, I want to see multi-episode arcs, and by multi-episode arcs, I mean episodes where some sort of event happens or
Mhm.
there's something big that happens, and you see them have to deal with that over the course of like 4 episodes or something
Mhm.
like that. um I feel like that would be something to sort of see them handle almost like a natural disaster. Like
Right.
it because the show is so real, it piques my interest to see how these almost real doctors would handle like an event like some sort of mass catastrophe. Yeah, that's what I kind of want to see. That's one of the big things that I want to see. And one other thing that I want to see next is if we're going to end up caring about the actual doctors. Like we talked about it a few seconds ago, but are we going to care about them individually? What do you think?
Possibly. I'm telling you, one thing that would deter me from this show, and I would probably stop watching, is if all the doctors all of a sudden, or most of them, had some kind of medical issue themselves. Because in all the medical shows I watch, eventually every main character has some life altering
Yeah.
issue, whether they're all of a sudden involved in a plane crash, whether they've been hit by a bus, whether they are in a car accident, whether just they have just something internally going on,
Mm-hmm.
or their family member dies, or their pregnancy goes wrong. There's
Yep.
always and it's funny because some of them, it's like 3 or 4 ailments that they have over the course of however many years the show goes on, and it's like, this is not realistic though, because I'm sure if you walk into any ER, maybe 1 or 2 of them has gone through something in their time that they've been there, but
Not
not everybody.
everybody.
Not
Yeah.
everybody has gone through,
Yeah.
and it's
Yep.
not like they're all on a plane together and like
Right.
7 of them get it. Just things like that. So if that happens in this show, in the course of one day,
Right.
I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that is absolutely absurd.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
So
I
I
totally
don't
agree
think
with you.
it's going to go there because they are trying to stick with more realism. But if it did, I'm done.
Yeah. I'd probably be done too. I'd probably be done too. So that's just a little bit of what we want to see next. So yeah, we just broke down the first 2 episodes of The Pitt, which is the new show on HBO Max. What do you think about it? Do you like it? Are you enjoying it? Do you want to see more? Are you going to tune in for episode 3? I know we're going to watch episode 3, and we'll be
Yes.
back here to break it down. We have a tendency to cover shows and then stop covering them because they don't get entertaining. But I'm
Right.
hoping that this one is able to like pique our attention and keep our attention for a long time, and we'll be able to make it all the way through the season. But if you guys are liking it and wanting to watch it, please, please, please let us know. Drop a comment below. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button,
Hit all the buttons.
all the notification bells and everything, because you want to know when we go live or when we drop a new episode. So, I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And we hope that you come back next time to watch some more stuff with us. Peace. On this episode of Watch Stuff with Us, The Pitt, Episode 3 breakdown, characters we like, characters we don't like, and what are our predictions for Episode 4. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with Us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And we are going to be breaking down Episode 3 of The Pitt. And we're also going to talk about the characters we like and the characters that we don't like. And give a little bit of a preview and our predictions for Episode 4. So please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time we go live. So let's get this going. Let's start with, this says predictions, messed that up. Let's start with the characters we like. So I got a little breakdown on here of all the characters, and we can kind of scroll through them a little bit because I still have trouble with some of their names because it's a newer show. But
they don't really say their names all that much either, I don't believe.
Not a ton.
Maybe like a couple times per episode, per characters.
Not a ton. But the first character we'll talk about is Noah Wiley as Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich. I think that's how it's pronounced. Star of the show. Seems like a pretty awesome leader, if I must say so. He's doing his best to keep the other things that he has going on in his life sort of on the outside right now.
Yeah, we know he's gone through some stuff, and they haven't really discussed that yet. Obviously, we're still in day one, so there's only so much that's talked about, but I feel that he's a good leader. He's very knowledgeable. He's had lots of experience, and I think he's a pretty great guy. He's a little dry, little serious, but definitely a good team member.
One thing that got me that made it a positive in my mind as far as he's concerned as a character is, and I don't know if this is like standard protocol in emergency rooms, but when you have someone pass away, like they have the moment of silence, and he usually like leads that, or at least he was the one that was suggesting the discussion of the moment of silence. So
that was really cool.
I feel like that's probably something just coming from him as a character that I don't feel like the other doctors necessarily would do if they were the lead down there.
No, I haven't seen it in other doctor shows that I've watched either. So this is
I think
that's a good quality.
In a person. It's a great quality. It's very honorable on his behalf to do something like that. So I was impressed by that. Same. Let's jump into another character that we like. I'm going to the character. Okay, let's do Dr. McKay. I am a fan of Dr. McKay. I like her because she seems like she's real. She got a little dark past because she's wearing that ankle bracelet,
which they have not divulged why yet.
Nope. But that'll be interesting and juicy once it comes out.
She did mention something about, was she in domestic abuse relationship, was she
some kind of domestic situation that she was involved in.
Some kind of assault or something in her lifetime,
right,
that she was alluding to,
right. So just seeing her and the way she carries herself, she seems not really like nonchalant, but focused and also like cool. You know, she doesn't come across as somebody who's freaking out about things or doesn't know how to handle themselves. She comes across as, hey, I know what I'm doing, but I'm also doing it in a way that is not imposing or annoying or too forceful like some of the other characters in the show.
Correct. No, I feel like she she'd be a good doctor to have.
Mm-hmm.
She, you know, she's kind of chill, down to earth, but knowledgeable, like
Yeah,
you
at
said.
least thus far.
So
We don't know
far,
what her past
so
is.
far. I
Her
don't know
past
about the
might be
ankle
something crazy.
bracelet. I'm really curious to find out, but I'm assuming we'll find out this season.
Yeah.
Yes, it's day one, but I feel like they're gonna stuff in some things for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they will too. Let's go to my favorite character on the entire show, Dr. King. On the perfect day to be talking about Dr. King.
True.
Um,
Definitely a different Dr. King, but you know.
yeah, it says Taylor Dearden plays Dr. King, a socially awkward second year resident who has experience working with military veterans. Even though she may be slightly off key when it comes to social interactions, her skills in the ER speak for themselves. Yeah, I feel like she's great. She's the type of doctor that I would like because I would feel comfortable around her because she doesn't seem to take herself too seriously. She also comes across as a little bit awkward, and but not awkward to the point where I question her talent or her skills or her ability. She comes across as that like good kind of quirky awkward.
I feel like she still has a lot of learning to do, especially with her awkwardness, because to me, it would make me slightly uneasy to have her as a doctor. I'm kind of the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I feel like her nervous energy would just make me nervous because I'm like an anxious, kind of awkward person too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just like her wanting to cry at the drop of a hat over every situation and like wringing her hands and like like just kind of not having words all the time, and I understand that's like a social quality and that's fine, but I feel like being a doctor, she probably should get this figured out pronto. um she gets upset about death, which is a happening when you're a doctor, especially in the ER. She gets upset about just things that she can't control, and so she's gonna have to definitely relax a little bit more and get more comfy in this situation. I
Yeah.
guess obviously we're still in day one though, so this is day one jitters, but
Yeah, and I
we'll
mean
see.
it's she comes across as genuine, and I appreciate people who come across as genuine, which is why
Yeah,
I like her as a
and she is
character.
very smart.
Mm-hmm. And I don't. The more I think about it now, the more after you brought up some of the stuff that you brought up, I don't know how much I would necessarily like her as a doctor, but like as a friend, she'd be cool. But yeah, as a doctor, that being a little bit too emotional, like I wouldn't want a doctor being emotional with me. Like a
Right.
doctor needs to be kind of cold and have their emotions sort of at a 2 on a
Right. If
scale
your
of
patients are
10.
crying, you can't start crying. If you have to
Right,
tell them
right.
bad news, you have to be able to compose yourself to
And I
present
mean,
that.
yeah, and they're human, and I get that they might be upset, but there's a level of upset that you expect out of a doctor.
Right.
And
You
you
have
don't
to
want
you have
them
to hold it in until you leave the room.
right, you don't want them bawling as much as you are if they're giving you a diagnosis that isn't positive.
No, but I do like her energy. She seems
Mm-hmm.
like a very positive,
Yes.
kind person. She just kind of wants to befriend everybody,
I like
and
her
I
a
like
lot
that.
because she reminds me of you.
Really?
Yep.
I'm not
Yep.
quite
You
that
no,
nervous
you're not
though.
that nervous, not that awkward, but her genuineness, her
When
the
she's like, "Oh, just talking about wanting to make friends all the time," that's
yes. Yes.
that's me.
Yes.
I'm like, "Oh,
Totally
new
you.
friend."
Totally you.
Somebody says, "I like your shoes." Oh, thank you. And, new
Right,
friend.
new best friend. Skip right to past the regular
Uh,
friendship, just the best friend.
I do
Yes.
do that.
All right. I think Dana Evans is a character that I don't know much about. She's okay. Mm. I think
She seems nice. She seems like she's had many years of experience, so nothing is surprising for her anymore. She's very I don't know what to call it, just very composed, very
yeah,
calm, very
she's seen it
matter
all.
of fact.
She's
Just
seen it all.
yeah, yeah, just she's just there because she knows everything
Right. And
already.
like it says on here, says while she mainly ensures that the emergency room has a steady flow and order, she can pick up on when staffers are in need of a break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is important. Like you gotta know if your people are okay or not.
She's just
And
the OG of the place, I
mm-hmm,
think, so.
mm-hmm, definitely. Let's roll up here. Do we have any more characters? Do you have another character that you like? I have some characters that I'm
Um,
meh on, and I have some characters I don't like.
go back up. Him.
Dr. Langdon.
I feel like I love his personality because he's very like upbeat, a little goofy, but they definitely need that in the workplace there. He lightens the mood for everybody else. He is very knowledgeable. I feel like he's the kind of doctor that if I'm stuck in the ER having a trauma, I would want to tend to me because I make jokes about everything, especially in serious situations, like when I am in the ER and having a catastrophe.
Yeah.
I do try to lighten the mood all the time, but I feel like he'd be the kind of doctor that I'd want. I'd rather have somebody that just be like, "Hey, what are we doing here?" instead of just like, all right, I see you have blah blah blah. You need this, and I like somebody that I can feel comfy around,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like he has that kind of personality that he likes to, brighten the mood of the environment.
Yeah, it says that he's a bit curt and often too practical when it comes to dealing with patients and their fates. However, he has the potential to become a successful doctor if he can work on that attitude of his. Yeah, his attitude didn't necessarily come off as.
I don't feel it was too attitudey. I didn't
Yeah.
really get a negative vibe from him.
No, he was in my meh category. Like I feel like I need to learn more about him. That he isn't just the cute doctor, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like,
He is married, he has kids, and he wants to get them a puppy, which is endearing. He clearly doesn't know much about having a puppy around because he keeps asking questions.
What I hope doesn't happen with him is that he turns into the doctor that's like cheating on his wife or something like that. Like I just don't please don't go that route. Please don't go that
In
route.
day one.
You can be a guy. You can be a guy that's handsome and attractive,
Yeah.
but still be a good guy. And I feel like they're gonna like try to soil him somehow. And I just hope that isn't the case.
Yeah.
All right, let's transition. I think we're good now. Now let's go to characters we don't like.
Okay.
I feel like my list is longer of characters I don't like. All right, Dr. Collins. Let's start with her. At least for me. For me.
Okay, you tell me why you don't like her first.
It says Dr. Collins is a senior resident in the ER who Dr. Robbie depends on as a right hand, though the two don't always see eye to eye when it comes to specific practices and decision making. Before pivoting to the medical field, Dr. Collins worked in finance.
Obviously.
Now, ooh, that I didn't know that part, but she comes across like she works with numbers and doesn't relate with a whole bunch of people all the time.
Yep.
A little cold for me.
Okay, what was your prediction too about her?
Oh, that she's pregnant?
Well, yeah, what about it?
Oh, that is Dr. Robbie's?
Yeah,
100%.
that's what he thinks.
100%.
I feel like they definitely had a thing at one point. I don't know whether it's his or not, but I feel like yeah, there's some underlying thing there. That's why she's he's always like checking on her, like, you okay, how you doing and stuff, and she's like, I don't need to hear from you, or you don't ask me that. And
you know what, you might be more right than I am, because I can totally
this
see
episode of Watch
them having had a relationship in the past, and she doesn't want to bring it up to him because
that she's moved on.
Well, no, she's already moved on. He knows that she's moved on, but she feels like he's gonna feel a certain way once she finds out that she's pregnant.
Once he knows she's pregnant.
Right.
Okay.
So it's
on this episode of Watch Stuff with.
She might not want to say it, but I'm still gonna roll with my prediction
his.
that it's his. Yeah. Off of some crazy one night sort of thing.
Could be. I'm still not sure how long he was gone for. Because remember, he came in and he was on leave or something, I think, to deal with the loss of his mentor, and I don't believe it ever said how long he was gone for.
No.
So a lot could happen during that time. So it could have been he was gone for a couple months, and yeah, she's carrying his baby. He could have been gone for like a year and likely not carrying his baby. So that factors into yeah, she's not very open with anybody. She's very reserved. She knows what she's talking about. She's professional, but almost to a point where she doesn't even chat with her colleagues, really. She's just closed off to everybody. And I'm sure it'll reveal why, but she's not very approachable, not very personable as of yet.
Cold.
Yeah.
Cold. All right.
Yeah.
Who else don't we like? Dr. Mohan or
Moen.
Moen. I won't say that I don't like her. I would say I don't know enough about her yet.
Yeah, I don't know enough about her either. She kind of seems. I don't even know how to explain her.
Well, read it.
Okay, it says that she's a third-year medical resident. She addresses her patients in a compassionate and considerate manner, even with the clock still quickly ticking, while she moves a bit slower than others, which was addressed in the last episode. The ER appreciates her heightened awareness of others and their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
She's more relatable, more personable with her patients. She's more caring with her patients, which I think is why they were like, well, you need to hurry along. You can't just, concentrate on this person and this person. You have to spend your time more with everybody else. You can't just be only forming the relationship with this person or this person. But
I think there's a balance that she needs to figure out.
she still seems kind of closed as well, a little awkward, at least with the other coworkers. I feel like, there's just a wall. I just feel a wall with her, like she's kind of hiding something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Ugh.
Dr. Santos.
I am not a fan of her. She is arrogant. She is snooty. She would be the bully in elementary school. She just is not approachable. She's very her way or the highway. I don't feel like she would take redirection well. I feel like she would just want to pick a fight physically possible. Like, I don't put it past her.
I got another prediction.
Okay.
I know we're diving all into the predictions and stuff, and I don't know if this is necessarily going to happen in the 4th episode or not, but she is going to have some sort of situation happen where her overconfidence is going to kill someone.
Yeah.
She's going to think she knows it all. She's going to make some call where she's, this is exactly what it is, and boom, that person is not going to make it because of that call. And I think that's what's going to humble her. She needs to be humbled.
Oh yeah, that's what I was telling her. She's going to have a humbling experience. It's going to knock her down a few pegs and be eye-opening for her. And I hope that happens because I don't like her.
Yeah. I haven't really noticed how she deals with her patients. She seems fine when dealing with patients, just her personally when she's talking to the other doctors and stuff. That's where I've noticed more of the stuff.
She just put herself on a pedestal, and she's obnoxious.
But I mean, if she can be obnoxious in her private life, but as a doctor, maybe she's okay. But yeah, I think she's definitely going to have some sort of humbling experience, and that's going to cause her to change her tone a little bit.
I hope so for her. I hope not for the patients.
I know, right? Yikes. Okay, how do you feel about Whitaker?
I'm on the fence with him. I don't dislike him. He's either a meh or I like him. He's very sweet. He's so pure. He's like, he was just walked out of the womb yesterday. He is so young and so impressionable. He's very sweet. He's very, very young. He has not had many experiences in the world thus far, I think, that have been hard on him.
Didn't they say he grew up on a farm in like Wyoming or something like that? Like, he comes across. He looks like he grew up on a farm in Wyoming.
Kind of like a little, maybe like he hasn't had much social interaction either. He seems very sweet though.
Smart.
Very smart. Very sad. The last episode with his patient was very sad.
Yeah, he comes across as a doctor that I would not want. Someone who is questioning themselves, someone who isn't confident. There's a line that you need to ride with that confidence. You don't want to be coming there too confident and cocky and rude, but you don't want to be underconfident and looking like you're lacking self-esteem, because that's how he comes across. And you can be as knowledgeable as you want to be, but if you come across as like not having that confidence, that's going to affect the people who you're trying to take care of too.
I feel like all the medical students just need to tweak their personalities a little bit, either up or down with that knob, because they're all a little, they all got a little bit of work to do.
They do.
Got a little improving.
They do. Who else do we have here? All right.
She's kind of a meh for me. I am annoyed with her thinking she knows everything. I know she's trying to separate herself from her mother, who works in the building as a doctor, and
She's a nepotism doctor.
yeah.
Specializes in nepotism.
Well, I just don't know. I don't like her vibe.
Yeah,
Another one that just doesn't make me feel comfy to have around as a doctor.
What I need to know is where her growth is going to come from. Is her growth going to eventually show that she is a Nepo baby and she's only there because her mom is there? Or is she going to break out that shadow and show that she really deserves to be there? Because the way she's showing right now, first she passed out with the very first person that she dealt
Crash.
with. Yes, so they call her Crash. I love that nickname.
She hates it, but
right.
I think it's
so she has, that's a strike against her.
Yeah.
The second strike against her is that her mom is a doctor there, and everybody's gonna think that she's just there because of that. Third strike against her is that she comes off as extremely young, and that would not give me confidence in her as a patient.
It's hard to look young too. And speaking from example, I mean, I was teaching in a middle school, and some of the staff didn't know me in the beginning and thought that I was a student and needed to get to class, even though I'm wearing my badge and everything. I'm 36 now, and I'm starting to feel like I look like an adult now, but definitely riding into my 30s, it was still iffy. People were thinking I was much younger than I was, and it's hard to feel like you earn the respect of your peers when you look younger than you are. Now, these people are, yeah, I guess they are, what, she says she's 20 years old, but yeah, she does look like she's 17 years old. Yeah. So that's hard, because you don't garner that respect from others when you look young, no matter how much you are educated.
I think the last doctor that I was confident in that was young was Doogie Howser. Neil Patrick Harris. I mean, he overcame it, so maybe she's gonna be able to overcome it too.
No, the Good Doctor.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's young too.
He was very young, but that boy knew everything.
Yeah, he was sharp. He was sharp. So did we hit everybody? I think we hit everybody.
I think that's all the staff.
I think so. Yes, that's.
Although I will say kudos to the man who seems to have Alzheimer's or dementia and used to be the janitor for the facility and still wants to come in and work. Yeah. And that's so cute that they allow him to just come back and what harm is he doing? He just wants to come back and mop the floor because he thinks he's still employed there. So that's adorable. So he might be my favorite at this point.
Right.
You sweet man.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and end the episode now. I think that the show is growing on me. The more I talk about it, the more I realize that I'm interested in it. If you had to make one prediction for episode 4, what would that prediction be?
I feel like that boy is going to come back, the one whose mother is in the ER, and she only went into the ER because of wanting to get her son help from finding the list that he had made. I think he's going to come back either next episode or the episode after that. I hope that they find him before anything serious happens, but I do feel like there's going to be some kind of trauma involving him that's going to bring him and maybe others to the ER. So I'm hoping not, but I can see that it going that way at some point.
Yeah. If I had to make a prediction, my prediction is sort of in lockstep with that to some degree. I feel like there is going to be some sort of major catastrophe that happens that's going to extend over multiple episodes. Okay. I feel like we're at the point in this show now where they've given as much background as they can on the characters that we need to see them adjust. Like we've been given their baselines. We need to see how they're going to start changing, and I think that change is going to be driven by something crazy happening.
Okay, well, in all medical shows, there are fires, there are car accidents, there are bus accidents, there are plane accidents, there are train accidents, there are people who fall into holes, there are hiking accidents, cave accidents, and chemical accidents, lightning accidents. We already had the lightning strike.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. Burn victims, which ties into lightning. So, what? Trees falling.
There's a certain thing, and I don't want to say it on here because YouTube listens to everything that we say, but I think it's going to involve that young man that you were talking about and executing his plan that he had.
Yep,
And
that always happens too, and it's scary, but honestly, that's regrettably what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
It's kind of accurate, so.
Yeah, I got a feeling that that's what we're going to get. And I'm thinking that it's going to start in this next episode. So, what are your predictions for episode 4? Who are your characters that you like? Who are your characters that you don't like? Do you like the show at all? We're digging it. It's getting better, I feel. I can't wait to see more. So, please drop a comment below. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so that you get notified each and every time we drop a video. We drop videos and shorts 5 days a week. Like, we have been putting out a ton of content. So we need you to show us your appreciation for doing that by hitting that subscribe button. And that's the one way that you can do it. And it's free. It doesn't cost a thing. A thing. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
Please, please, please continue to rock with us. And we will see you for the next video. Peace out, Girl Scout.
Boy Scouts too.
On this episode of Watch Stuff With Us, The Pitt, episode 4, recap, review, and a little bit of breakdown. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff With Us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And we are going to be recapping episode 4 of The Pitt. So if you like the series and if you kind of like us, you should please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, drop a comment below, and then hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time we go live. So what I was thinking as far as breaking down this episode was we kind of would hit everything sort of chronologically the way the episode sort of unfolded.
That makes sense.
And I also have an article from the Collider that we can kind of use as a recap and kind of a guide. So let me switch over to that real quick.
Okay.
All right. So the episode 4 was entitled 10 a.m. So yeah, I mean, pretty easy to figure that out, but or why it's called that, since every episode
is
an
hour.
Is an hour. So yeah, pretty cool. The first thing that I had written down was that Robbie broke down a bit. Like he had his situation where he went to the bathroom and he had been dealing with the family who was losing their father, and the room that they were in was the room that his mentor had passed away in.
Yes.
And
it's very triggering.
He saw the fox and it triggered him. And
poor guy.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough to see. One cool thing that I noticed from reading this article was that Noah Wiley, who stars as Dr. Robbie, actually wrote and directed this episode as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Aww.
And before we get like super deep into it, I felt that this was the best episode of the series.
I was definitely, more intrigued by this one. It wasn't as slow paced. It wasn't as dull, I guess. Kind of, this one was a little bit more, it had more feeling behind the characters, and there was one part that still annoyed me a little, but we can get to that in a bit.
We'll get to it. One of the things that I noticed right away was that I think we have to kind of change our perspective on the show, and that they give almost equal time to the doctors as characters, if not slant even more so towards the actual emergency room patients, because I feel like I gained a lot of like sort of back knowledge on the patients, and that they're working to develop them as characters on the show and not just the doctors, which is when you watch medical dramas normally, it's like the doctors are front and center. You learn everything about them.
Right.
But with this show, you're learning about the doctors, but you're also learning a lot about the patients. and like their background, and just to see like the sort of mini arc that the patients went through, who were the brother and sister that they were losing their father, like seeing that sort of arc take place, and like how the sister was very annoying. She was
That's
annoying.
what I was going
Yeah.
to say was the annoying part for me. But
She was annoying, but she kind of came around in the end.
it took a few episodes, but she
Mhm.
finally had some growth there, and
Yeah.
I feel like pulled herself together, did a good job at the very end when her father was passing. So
Yeah.
I'm glad she, matured up a little bit there and thought more about him and his feelings than just herself. Although she did have a moment of, this is how I felt growing up, yada yada. But
Mhm.
yeah, she pulled herself together. She wasn't as much whining about the fact that she was going to have to let him go, not wanting to let him go, being kind of selfish. So she was
Yeah.
selfless at the end.
I thought that breakdown, and you got the picture of it here, the you hold the memories that he
Yes.
came up with, like that was amazing. And the way that he broke down that, you want to thank them for
You
something.
say I love you, you
Yeah.
say thank you, you
Right.
say I forgive you, and please
Right.
forgive me.
Like, oh my God. Like I got kind of choked up hearing
Yeah.
that. Like that was really cool. Like I want to remember that when I have to go through losing someone,
Right.
in the future, and being able to process things that way. I thought that was really
What
cool.
did you say it was like a Hawaiian
Yeah.
thing that
Yep.
they do? That's
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
That's really
I
cool.
really enjoyed that. I thought that was a great way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think we also need to scroll up and get to this section because
It was about time.
yeah, and we definitely felt that part was coming. And
We predicted it the last
I'm
show
trying to
we
scroll
did.
up to get to, oh yeah, it was Dr. Santos and Dr. Mohan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just she needed to be knocked down a peg, and that she was going to, not this doctor but the other doctor that she's talking to right there,
Right.
needed to have to deal with a situation that was going to cause an error, and it be her fault. I thought it might end up with somebody like actually dying, but it didn't in this
Thankfully,
situation.
it didn't go
But
that
yeah,
extreme,
it got close. It got close.
She made a bad call.
Yeah, and we talked about that. We talked about that the last episode, that she was
so hell
gonna
bent
do
on
something.
being. Yep, she was so strong willed. She thought she knew everything, and it ended up biting her in the butt because then her patients started going downhill, and everybody was upset with her for the choice she made.
Right. And it was good to see her sort of humbled, and then the way she handled it, I kind of thought that she would like still roll with it's whatever, it's the choice I made. But no, she looked kind of shook by it.
She did. She seemed to kind of actually take it in, and
right. So yeah, that's definitely an arc for her. So I'm interested to see in the next episode where she goes from here, if she's going to bounce back to her sort of conceited and uppity kind of ways, or is she going to allow the humbling moment that she had to sort of knock her down a peg and realize that she does need to do things a little bit better.
Yeah, you can't learn if you think you're already the best at everything.
Yes, and she definitely called her out with the are you aware of your aggressive energy?
Oh, like, I love that.
Yo, like, yeah, she does come across that way.
I feel like I need to use that quote with so many people.
Yeah. And like her bedside manner was poor.
Oh, it is.
Like, yeah, she couldn't.
She talks about the patients when they're like in the room and like in a negative way, whether they're conscious or not, and yeah, just
learning how to empathize. Like, she does not have that.
No,
that was
not at all
for her. Yeah, so it was pretty cool to see her go through that situation. And I just hope that it makes her, the rest of her arc, better. I'm sure if I had to make a prediction, she's gonna come back the next episode and still be brash. She was knocked down a peg, but she's gonna come back and want to show that, like, hey, I do know my stuff.
I mean, technically, she won't have had a whole day to think on it. She'll have only had that hour.
Right.
So
if that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think she's gonna come back, and it's not gonna change for her yet, and she's still gonna have another situation that's gonna cause something, drastic to happen. So yeah. We had the baby that had the hair on its toe. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I told you all about that. That's a big thing with babies, with the hair or the string on the socks. You always have to watch out for that because it'll happen inside the sock, and or even inside their onesies or footy pajamas or under a blanket anywhere, and you won't maybe be aware of why they're so fussy.
Yeah.
So always check that out.
Yeah. We also had the guy who's been in the waiting room for several hours, who comes across as a little bit of a bigot, and also made a not so nice comment about the racial makeup of one of the
Doctors there.
One of the waiting room attendants.
Yes.
So yeah, like, not cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens with him as we go along, because if this show is the way that it seems like it's going to be, he's going to have to be humbled too. So something is going to happen,
or
with
he's
him.
going to have to be kicked out, like security escorted out, because he seems like he's a jerk. I would make him wait longer in the waiting room.
Yep.
But then of course you'd up his anger and be stuck with them.
But it's also
up, so
it's also very realistic. I feel like they have to, in a real ER,
you always have somebody
like
that's throwing a fit, about having to wait because they don't feel like they need to wait.
Yep.
Their condition's always worse.
Yep. And yeah, I think the other major thing in this, besides what we've covered already, was the guy known as the Kraken.
Oh my goodness, no. That
and the Kraken
I was not
springing a leak. Let's call it that, literally.
I didn't see that coming. I mean, every episode has a little bit of nudity shown.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, I wasn't thinking that wouldn't happen, but my gosh, that was definitely a surprise. And I feel sorry for the doctor who continually has to change his scrubs.
Yeah.
All the time. This is what, his third outfit of the day already, and we're only at 10 a.m.
Yep, his third change.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that this episode was the best of the series thus far. I know it ended sort of on a cliffhanger with the folks in the sort of waiting room and the guy who was there a little bit before, who was having a normal conversation, and then it came back and he was like having a seizure. So I'm interested to see what happens there and how they're going to deal with that situation. One thing I didn't like about this episode was this whole sort of subplot of the placing bets on what happened with the ambulance. Like, like, I feel like they were trying to be funny, but like that just made me think like, well, you're in the ER, you shouldn't be joking around like in a situation like that. But knowing
that's probably kind of realistic, because you have to have something that's gonna not be so depressing all the time.
Right.
Ooh, also that one on that's Oreos. Those look delicious too. But the patient that's on the screen there, I wanted to say that I loved how they handled that, about noticing in the computer that she had been misgendered and making sure that was corrected for her. So I just thought that, everybody should be making sure that is updated in the system.
Yeah, and that was a +1 for the young doctor who I wasn't so fond of the last episode. That she noticed something like that. So yeah, that was cool. I thought the way they dealt with the entire situation was good. I was nervous that they were going to say that this woman had like harmed herself, and what I'm realizing about this too is that every situation isn't some major situation. Some of it is just normal. Like, she just cut herself. I
will say the description though of how the bottle didn't like go in a million pieces, how it was just like 2 pieces. The doctors kind of looked at each other like,
and it made me question it too.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if her mental health seemed okay in that situation, you just kind of got to let her go. You can't just hold everybody back assuming things.
We can reserve our right to go back if they come back and she comes back at another point in time during the season and like, oh, there's this other mishap or accident.
Then we are,
then there's going to be something. But at least I kind of like that they have certain things that are big, certain things that are little. It's just like, it's a true day in the life. Not everything is going to be some monumental, huge situation. Something is just going to be as simple as a hair around a baby's toe or somebody getting a cut.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to necessarily turn into something crazy.
No.
So yeah, there you have it. Episode 4 recapped. I hope you guys, I hope you all enjoyed our recap of this. If you are watching the show, let us know what you think. We've gotten some awesome comments thus far, so we want your comment too. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the episode.
Comment.
What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? We will be here to discuss it with you, just as we have all the other episodes in the series. we are getting to the point now where we're going to be busy. There's a lot of stuff coming up. We got Yellow Jackets coming up. We got
Thankfully.
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man coming up this week.
Yes.
We got um what else? What else? We got Daredevil Born Again coming up, and we're gonna
I
be
know. That's gonna
covering
be
that
so good.
live every week. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up. Please, please, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, hit the notification bell. Also, we are one sub away from our 300 sub. We would love if you are our
Do it. Be our 300th.
Or
And then
301
comment
or
and say
310.
you were the 300th.
Yes, yes.
I would like to
please.
know who it is.
Yes, 100%.
Maybe
So
we'll
we
do a
can shout you
special
out.
shout out. Yes.
Sync.
Double sync.
Triple
Triple sync.
sync.
You owe me a Coke. You owe me 2 Cokes. You owe me 3 Cokes. You owe me all the Cokes. Love you.
Thanks for watching this show. We really appreciate you, and we will see you when we see you next time. Peace. On this episode of Watch Stuff with Us, The Pit, episode 5, recap, review, and breakdown. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with Us. I'm JD, and if you look around, I'm a little bit by myself today because Katie is feeling under the weather. So we hope that she is back really soon, hopefully for the next episode. But you got me instead. So I'm going to be breaking down episode 5 of The Pit. Please, please, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time we go live in 2025. So let's get this episode review, recap, and breakdown started. All right, so as we get started, my overall thoughts on the episode, not quite as good as episode 4. I thought episode 4 was the best episode of the series so far, but this episode didn't quite live up to that one, but it was still pretty good nonetheless. So let's go through it a little bit. Huge thanks to Screen Rant for providing a recap of the episode, which I'm going to use a little bit of to give me topics to talk about and a guideline to discuss the show. So let's scroll through this real quick. Got some highlights on here. So episode 5 shifts focus away to offer deeper glimpse into what the medical students are doing. So yeah, they are moving, or at least in this episode, they moved away from Dr. Robbie a little bit and started focusing on a little bit more of the residents and what they're doing there. So I was okay with that. I think we still got a little bit of Robbie, and he was still all over the place, but we didn't get that character development like we got in the last episode. So they kind of gave it a little bit more to the other doctors, and that's okay. We got to learn a little bit more about them, which was good. So it's kind of cool whenever you have a show and you want these answers, they're going to dish them out super slow. But this one, they kind of go slow, but they also give you those little breadcrumbs that things are going on and make you wonder, like, man, is this character going to be a main character? Are they going to blow something up? Are they going to do something really good? They're going to do something really bad? Like, I enjoy shows like that. So this one did give a little bit more focus to the background characters, as they didn't focus on Dr. Robbie. But you have on here, they're talking about Dr. Collins with a 17-year-old girl, Kristen, who is just over the legal time limit to get an abortion. So this can be a very tough subject to broach, especially on TV. I have to even be careful with how I talk about it on YouTube, because I know that YouTube can get kind of sensitive to things like that. But you had Dr. Robbie come in later on in the episode where there was a little bit of a controversy on whether they should go ahead with this plan. And it seems as though there were some measurements that were a little bit outside of the level where you can still get this process taken care of. I'll just say it like that. And Dr. Robbie was willing to go back and remeasure and almost make up the correct statistics that they needed and measurements that they needed in order to get this procedure taken care of. This is the first time I was watching a show like this, and I was just totally against something. But I feel like as a doctor, you have these guidelines that you have to go by. I know that there are some areas for, like, gray, where the the, the person, if they have a broken arm or something like that, and that broken arm may require surgery, it may not require surgery. That can sort of be left up to the patient. There is a little bit of decision that the doctor can make as well too, but that's sort of straightforward. In a situation like this, you have a procedure that I feel as though is obviously very important, but it should fit into this area where there aren't going to be so much gray. There isn't going to be that sort of it's super hard to say, but there shouldn't be that area where a person can make a judgment call on it. Like, it's either in within the range or it's not. It shouldn't be, oh well, we're going to go back and fudge some numbers in order to make this happen. I feel like when that goes down, the doctor is sort of playing God and going into a situation where I don't know if you should make that kind of choice. I'm really interested to see what you guys think, because I felt like it was crossing a line. And when you have something like that, that's very important like that. Yes, I know that if that was the case, that she would have to keep the child and raise the child. But what do we have guidelines for? What do we have these rules for if someone's just going to come along and break them and fudge them? Like, what's the determining factor? Is it 1 centimeter? Is it 1 inch? Is it 3 days after a certain point in time? Is it 2 hours after? Like, I don't know what those lines are, but the powers that be in medicine have decided that there are certain guidelines that you need to follow. So as a doctor, I don't really think that they should be fudging those and sort of forcing things to happen. I'm really curious to see what you guys think on that too. Um, let's go along a little bit. This talks about how Victoria, who breaks the trust between Dr. McKay and a returning patient by making assumptions about her situation. Yeah. Um, I feel like Victoria was operating in the best way that she can. She's naive. She's trying to do things by the book. She is trying to do what is supposed to happen. So, like, you're supposed to notify the patient that you have reached out to some exterior services in order to get the patient some help that they may or may not want. You're supposed to let them know that. I think that there's a different way that she could have went about discussing this. She didn't have to just jump in and be like, yeah, we got these human services over here waiting for you to talk to you. That comes across as a little cold, a little blunt, whereas Dr. McKay was more ginger with the situation. She was willing to share some information about her and how she had her ankle bracelet and the different things that she's gone through in her life, even admitting that she had a substance abuse issue in the past and that she's working through that. So she did those things to sort of build that camaraderie between her and her patient. And then when the doctor, or when Victoria came in and just blurted out like, hey, I got these people standing by, that made it seem like Dr. McKay was sort of just running around telling everybody her story, which wasn't the case. But it was perceived that way by the patient. So it's a definite learning experience for Victoria. I think she has a good heart. I think she had what was right for the patient in mind. She just needs to learn that there's a little bit more subtle and gray area to doing things, and it's not just always by the book, which completely contradicts what I said like literally 5 minutes ago. So I guess you got to kind of take it on a case by case basis, and that's what makes the show good, because it does pose those sort of moral dilemmas. Scroll down a little bit. Oh man, poor Will. Um, yes, but if there was one resident who stands out in episode 5, it's Dennis, whose inner conflict is beginning to impact the way he approaches his patients. Um, when you are dealing with a job that is as high stress, very intense as being a ER doctor, you have to have a certain level of confidence. You have to have a certain level of confidence, not only that you exude, but also that you have in yourself. I think that, and they talk about it in the article, but I think that after Dennis sort of had his moment where he lost a patient, he feels and he's kind of questioning his ability right now. And that questioning of his ability bled over into one of his patients who then lost their confidence in him. If you are losing that confidence in yourself for the betterment of your job and for the betterment of the patients, you need to still exude a level of confidence in yourself, because no one wants to go to a doctor who feels like they don't know what they're doing. That is like the worst thing that you could do as a doctor to a patient, is to lack that confidence and seem uneasy and seem like you don't know exactly what's going on or what needs to happen. So yeah, it talks about uh, the first instance that he had where he removed some dead skin from a patient's leg only to get sprayed, yeah, with some blood, um, from an injured artery that was hiding underneath. So I think that was scrub number 4, I think, for him that he had to change into, because he got sprayed in that one. And then later on, he had a young boy who started bleeding from his tonsillectomy surgery, which caused his um, the blood to shoot out of his mouth, and it got all on his face and another set of scrubs. So I think he's up to like 5 dirty sets of scrubs at this point. So when we see him next, he'll probably be in his 6th pair. But interesting fact about this is that Katie, my wife and co-host, also had a tonsillectomy last year. And during that tonsillectomy, she had was all good, got through the surgery, was a few days into her recovery, and then she all of a sudden just started like spitting blood out of her mouth, and like it was super scary for me. Especially they told us that like, hey, anything over a teaspoon of blood, you need to go to the ER immediately. So this was far more than that. I would say, oh, at least 8-9 ounces of blood before the not paramedics, but before the we got her to the hospital and stuff. So it was just it was scary. And she handled it like a trooper. She was cracking jokes and stuff while she's bleeding out of her mouth. But you got to see the opposite side of that, where it could be something extremely serious. So yeah, it's scary when you have these real life situations, but I thought it was super cool that they touched on something that we had some very intimate knowledge about. um and one last thing we'll talk about with this episode. I don't even want to get into him. And I mean, it sucks that he's stuck outside when whatever is going on with him doesn't seem that serious. But Katie made a prediction that he's out here waiting, and then something serious is definitely going to end up happening with him. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he thinks. I don't like the things that he says. But that does not mean that he should not get the care that he deserves, and that he needs. And it just goes to show you how rough it is in those very busy ERs like that. um let's go with this. I have highlighted, it says the Pitt's sickle cell disease storyline, where intubation became necessary to save Joyce's life. Yeah, that was a tough scene, because it seemed as though she was getting better, but then she kind of took a turn, sort of a downward turn, and then they had to intubate her. um that is something that takes a lot of skill. I've been put under anesthesia before and had to be intubated, and that is no joke to recover from. It does tons of damage to your throat, and it is very, 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 very painful. So, to know that she had to go through that, my heart definitely went out to her. Um, and that one, fortunately, when they did it, it went off without a hitch. But it says, however, this was contrasted with a woman who took her mother in after she had a damaging fall as her primary caregiver due to her mother's schizophrenia, learning she fractured her bone, causing her to run off, overwhelmed by the stressful scenario. So, yeah, that's something that Katie also called while we were watching, but I didn't see that coming. I mean, she seemed like a very caring mother, and I'm sure she is, but the stress of the situation literally made her run away. And I know she was talking to the doctor, and the doctor was telling her, like, yeah, you need to take a little time for you. You need to be able to de-stress a little bit. But I don't think she expected her to just say, okay, I'm going to take a little time right now and leave my mom here. So that was definitely another crazy, crazy, crazy situation. The last thing that happened in the episode that was sort of left us on a major cliffhanger was the situation with the young lady who was going to get rid of her child. Let's say that. Um, it was revealed that the woman who we thought was her mother was not her mother. It was actually her aunt. And her mother came in and said, like, no, this is not going to happen. So that definitely left us on a cliffhanger where, is this going to happen? Is it okay for someone else to come in and say that, like, hey, this is my child, and because she's my child, even though she's on the edge of adulthood, this is my child, I'm going to make you have this child. um it's tough. It's tough. Those are the moral dilemmas that people are faced with, and I don't necessarily have one way that's right, one way that's wrong. But if I was the doctor in this situation, of course you have to go with what the mother says, because the child is still a minor. And also knowing behind the scenes that they are kind of like were forcing this procedure to happen, that would definitely tell me in my mind, like, hey, there are things happening here that are out of our control, and she needs to go ahead and have this child, even though, or she needs to go ahead and carry this child even though she doesn't feel competent to do it. You need to explore some other options, possibly adoption, things like that. Crazy, crazy, crazy tough decision to make, but that would be the decision that I would make in that situation. What would be the decision that you would make in that situation? I am desperate to know what you think about all these situations that come up on this show. So you can drop them in the comments below and let me know. Let Katie know as well. So yeah, that was episode 5 of The Pit. Like I said, not my favorite episode, but definitely not the worst. There were some definite levels of progression to the characters that we don't know quite as well as Dr. Robbie, and I'm very interested to see how the rest of this plays out, especially the situation that we touched on with the procedure that needs to happen with the young lady. Real tough, really tough, very tough, and I really want to know what you guys think about it. What would you do? How would you handle this? You're thrown in the middle of that. You got this mom who's super angry that the sister came up there and is trying to help the young lady have this procedure. So she's up there without her permission. Just said, I'm gonna be here to make sure this gets done. The mom shows up, and now you got this huge family conflict, let alone the moral conflict that you have as far as those types of procedures go to begin with. So yeah, drop a comment below, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Please, please, please hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time we go live in 2025. So I appreciate you for stopping by. Please do not be a stranger, and I will see you when I see you. Peace. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
It is so nice to see you back on the show. It's been a while, I feel.
No, it has been a very long time.
Man.
My apologies.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
I barely
Busy
know
life.
who you are anymore.
You see me every day still.
Okay.
This guy.
Yeah, I do. Well, on this episode of Watch Stuff with us, we're going to be talking about The Pit, episode 6. This show is incredible, and if you ever want to check out any more of our reviews, we have a ton on this channel. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time we go live
in 2025.
So let's get this review going. All right. So as always, I'm going to use an article to help sort of guide us along on our talk about the show. So this time we're using the Decider. I like their recaps of the Pit. They're pretty good. So I went through the article and highlighted a few things that I'd like to talk about. The first thing I have is Dr. Melissa King steps into a side stairwell to focus on the amoeba-like entropy of her lava lamp app. I like Dr. King. She has some stuff, but
Yeah,
I feel like she is probably the most kind at heart person on the show.
I agree.
Yeah,
No, she's
she
good.
seems like she wants to do well. I feel like she gets very overwhelmed at times,
She
as we
does.
see later on in the season. But yeah, she definitely means the best from the way she shows more empathy, I feel, than any other character on the show.
She does. Yeah, she has a huge heart. She's very sweet.
It says, ideally, it calms her, though Mel remains in a struggle with the possibility she influenced a caregiver's daughter to abandon her
Schizophrenic
schizophrenic
mother.
mother. Of course, is Dana who notices, and she is who suddenly appears next to Mel like the guardian angel on her right shoulder. Yeah, Dana is amazing. Like, I feel like she is she's the heart of that emergency
She really
room.
is the guardian angel of the whole
Yeah,
place.
she is. She's always there.
She's the rock.
She shows up. She helps the people who need it. She gives them a pat on the back sometimes. She gives them a stern talking to sometimes. Like, she's everything that everybody needs on
But
that show.
yeah, if you need something, she's your person.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
And we had Dr. King, who felt bad because she felt like she had told the lady who had a mother with schizophrenia that she needed to take a break, or it was okay if she took a break.
And then she thought she left.
Yeah,
And like
she just
left
thought she
for
disappeared.
good.
Yeah. And I mean, that would be rough to try to work through and resolve that. Like, hey man, I just gave this lady some advice and now she's gone and I feel like it's all my fault.
Right.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. It says Gloria, the hospital administrator, has returned to badger Dr. Robbie about boardroom business terms like metrics and OFI, opportunities for improvement. Really, at the Pit, the average wait time to see a doctor is 6 hours, but staff in the ER and existing number of beds are both static. What can he really do? Gloria and her counterpart, a doctor executive from ECQ, which manages 500 emergency rooms nationwide for the benefit of its shareholders, are not receptive to Robbie's protests. So I thought that brought up a very sort of undercovered aspect, of
that many
of
ERs
hospitals.
in hospital space. Yes.
Yeah, and having that they're a business at the end of the day. And I think a lot of people don't really want to acknowledge that, and that they think that they're more of a service. I think they provide a service that is desperately needed, but at the end of the day, there are some bottom lines. So I understand where the executives are coming from, but for somebody like Dr. Robbie, all he's going to do is want more and want the things that his ER needs to operate correctly.
No, you're correct. And all she wants then is to make a profit and do what helps to lead towards that greater gain in profit. And she doesn't really have the empathy or the understanding as much about what goes on in an ER, nor does she seem to care.
Right. I feel like in business terms, the phrase or the word efficiency is always like a big thing. Like, just even at my job, people use the word efficiency as a way of disguising cuts. So
Make it sound a little nicer.
yeah,
Sugarcoat
and make
a
it sound
bit.
like something that you're trying to make the business better. And yes, but what you're really trying to do is increase your bottom line at the end of the day. And I
Yeah.
think more people need to understand that hospitals are a business. And I mean, I get both sides of the argument. I get both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
The Pit is equally effective at seeding these larger issues, the constant clash of demand, performance, budgets, and profit in the everyday professional existence of its characters. So yeah, you see exactly how this show has shined a light on that part of the business. And like I said before, you don't really get to see that a whole lot. So I want to see eventually what happens with the executive side. Like, do they go and say like, okay, well, you guys did great, but now we're going to have some impending cuts. And then at the end of the season, you're going to have like, okay, well, you need to lose two people that you have had here today.
Yeah.
And then you sort of have a whole episode based around like, oh, well, who's going to leave? Yeah. So, yeah, because I don't think we're going to make it out of this season with everybody still being around.
Or maybe one of the noobs are going to just say this isn't the right fit for them, and maybe they will volunteer to leave.
Maybe.
There's one that I wouldn't mind leaving. The others can stay.
Man. Yeah. Next thing I have highlighted is Collins won the staff pool on the ambulance theft. That whole storyline was annoying to me. Like I didn't like
feel like
that.
it was as important and needed to be part of the show. I don't feel like that happens very often.
I hope not.
Nor do we really care that somebody stole their ambulance and then,
right. And it was something
had an issue.
Yeah, and it was something that they used, I feel like, to kind of fill up a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a day in a life, so a shift in a life. So I guess things like that probably do happen more than we want to think. And I think that's sort of the recurring theme with this entire show is that like, oh, these things sort of happen way more often than I figured. And with another appearance on the floor by Dr. Shamsi, Victoria Javid's efforts to quash any suggestion of Nepo babiness hit a snag when the senior attending calls her daughter honey during a patient consult. So
which was then the dead giveaway that her mom works here. Which then gave people are giving her some grief on that.
I think it's tough for Victoria to sort of live in her mom's shadow and sort of establish herself as her own doctor.
Yeah, and she wants no part of anybody, putting them together. She wants to have her own path in life. I don't know. I just feel really bad for her.
Yeah, and I mean,
because her mom just kind of shows up randomly, and she's not the most helpful either, and she kind of is really hard on her. And obviously, it's this girl's first day.
Right, and she's not the most. She's not seasoned yet, like, and she's younger than everyone else. Like, she has all these things stacked up against her, which makes it really tough for her. And I feel like that's either going to make her a better doctor, or she's going to be one of the ones who ends up leaving at the end of the season because she doesn't want to deal with the pressure.
Yeah.
If you had to make a prediction, which one would you predict? Is she going to stay around or is she going to leave?
Oh boy. I'm going to say she stays. I'm hoping she stays, but if she does leave, I hope that she gets on at a different hospital where she doesn't have her mother working there, because she does seem to be very knowledgeable and very caring. And so I feel like the job is a good fit if she can handle having her mom always hovering.
Yeah, I feel like she's green, but that's like her only bad thing about her. Like some of the other people are green and then they have other things that are making them worse at the job. I feel like she's knowledgeable. I feel like she has a good demeanor. She just doesn't have the experience yet. So of all of the younger doctors, I feel like she has the most potential to be an excellent doctor down the line. And I really hope that she stays. They say it's chest tube time. Santos finally gets her wish to perform the tricky procedure, which she's been antsy about all season. Dr. Garcia is more than willing to monitor the intern doing it. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a vibe between Garcia and Santos, and it was a little odd. That caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And that Garcia is taking up for her and
Garcia can
flirty.
do so much better.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like Santos.
Santos is she's a piece of work.
She has a terrible personality. She's just snotty and arrogant and not compassionate. She's very into herself. And it's annoying. She's very annoying.
Yeah, I feel like they need to do something to make us care about her more and make us want to cheer for her more, because at this point I don't. Like, she can go. Like, I'm done. I'm done. Everything that I've seen thus far, I'm finished. Maybe she'll start some sort of redemption arc as the season progresses. It says, that is until Santos slices into a guy, only to promptly slip and drop the scalpel right into the webbing of Garcia's toes.
Yeah, that should have been like a red flag for Garcia. Like, probably this isn't the person you should have an interest in. If all the other signs prior didn't lead up,
Mm-hmm.
give you any inkling that she's not the greatest person, then she goes ahead and is arrogant and then drops the knife right into your foot.
Yeah. There was one cool thing that Garcia said, and it's highlighted on here as well. It says, she said to Santos, "You're confident." Garcia tells Santos, "That's good. But there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness. How many fine lines are left for Dr. Santos to cross?" Yeah.
Let's have like one more because she needs to go.
Yeah. Just not a fan. Just not a fan. I don't like her attitude. I don't like. And
she's not kind to people, like patients or other staff.
And even on top of that, she makes bad decisions,
rash,
which is more dangerous to her patients. So
because they're not always correct, and she just acts on them. And it's her first day. Like,
it would be one thing. It would be one thing if she was good at her job and was like on point, but just had a bad like bedside manner and was kind of a jerk to her coworkers. That's one thing, but you can overlook those types of things if she's an amazing doctor. She hasn't proven that she's an amazing doctor, and she seems like a crap person.
She's only been there half of one day.
Right. Well, and maybe we're rash in making our judgments on her too. So I'll give her a little more time. She gets a little more time. Yeah, and we ended the episode with Collins sort of having some discomfort in her stomach. I know they've shown her having this discomfort a few different times, and then this time she went to the bathroom and she's kind of doubled over in pain. So I mean, I'm hoping that the child is okay, and that we get to see that everything is okay, and it's just sort of a plot point for the show that she's dealing with something and not that she's actually gonna lose the baby.
Same.
Yeah,
I like her.
Yeah, I do too. So yeah, there you have it. Episode 6 of The Pitt has been reviewed by us truly. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time we go live
in 2025.
My name is JD.
And my name is Katie.
So we appreciate you for checking us out, and we will see you when we see you. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And today we are covering or continuing our ongoing coverage of HBO Max's The Pitt. Today we're doing episode 7. So if you are enjoying this and all the other stuff that we do on our channel, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time
we go live in 2025.
So if that wasn't annoying enough, we'll jump into our episode 7 recap right now. So yeah, we'll kick things off, and I'll have Katie do the reading today since I was struggling on episode 6 to read for whatever reason. I guess I need to go back to kindergarten, but I'll let you take over for the reading today.
Totally okay. You did say the word "the," so that was good. So we are going ahead and starting off this episode by continuing the beef that Dr. Robbie and Gloria are having with how the hospital is run. He has his hands full because he has a angry mom arguing about her daughter's potential abortion, 50 unseen cases waiting in chairs, an existing patient traffic jam between the trauma and the open beds in the ICU and the psych wards. And he's pretty much just telling her it's been a terrible week, and for the love of God, please hire more nurses.
Yeah, I feel like that is much easier said than done. And Gloria has a business to run, and this hospital is a business, as we talked about in episode 6. hospitals are businesses, whether people want to realize it or like that or not. And there's a bottom line that they need to take care of and make sure that they are above.
But on his side, you can tell they're stretched thin. They got a lot going on. They need more help, and it doesn't seem like they're going to get that.
Yeah, they need a lot more help. And you can see by that waiting room
Oh
that
my
they have out
gosh.
there.
Packed.
Yeah. And I mean, fortunately, where we live at, the emergency room waiting areas usually aren't that packed. But I know that I have family who live in Chicago, and it is routinely a multi-hour wait until you can get in to be seen. And that has to be horrible. It's not serving anyone a purpose to have people continually have to wait like that.
No,
But
when you're in pain.
right,
Goodness,
right. It's
no.
not helping anyone, but it seems as though they're doing the best they can. And I think that most businesses that are highly profitable and have a lot of money flowing through them tend to try to do things that will
Continue the profit.
yes, will continue to profit over everything else.
Yeah.
So they'd rather have those people wait than to get two more doctors in there to make things speed up the process a little bit, which is horrible.
It's really terrible.
Yeah, definitely bad.
Okay, then we go into Dr. Mohan. She's treating her new patient, Nandi, and she pauses the differential diagnosis that would indicate schizophrenia, and the slow mo stuff rises back up. So that's about the one who's a beauty influencer. And so they're trying to figure out like what is wrong with her, why is she having all these issues, and trying to figure out like what's causing it, what's tying in.
Yeah, and especially when you have someone who has been normal, quote unquote, their entire life, that all of a sudden these sort of schizophrenic behaviors start coming up.
Very unusual.
Yeah, super unusual.
Yeah.
And you have to you want to get to the bottom line of that and
Yep.
figure out exactly what's going on. So I definitely understand the urgency that they had, and also how it's a bit of a mystery at this point with what's going on with her.
Yep, I agree. And then we have the stuff, the possible past romance that they had between Dr. Robbie and Dr.
Collins.
Yeah, and there seems to be something there.
Yeah, there's something there for sure. There's no way that they didn't have some sort of spiciness going on at some point in time, just with the way they interact with each other. I think that most people can sort of feel those vibes through the show, through the screen, and they had some things going on in the past, and that must not have ended well. Or they made sort of like a business decision that, hey, we work together, we're gonna cut things off. So I think maybe as the show goes on, we're gonna get a little bit more background into that.
Yeah.
But it makes me nervous that they also are going to leave it as sort of a hanging thread for the rest of the season, because we're only dealing with one day, one shift for these folks. And I don't know if they're gonna get into enough of their background drama for us to get a satisfying resolution to whatever's going on with them.
Yeah, we might not find out in day one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
Right. Right.
Then we go into some things with Dr. Santos and Dr. Robbie. And Dr. Santos was thinking that what were alcoholism related symptoms in Silas, the patient, are actually the result of his wife dosing his coffee with the hormone steroid progesterone. And that was to kill her husband's libido, because they feel like there's something going on with him and his daughter.
Yeah, this was real uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
As a father of multiple daughters. Like, that's something that could never go
sickening.
through my head. And just to think that that's possibly what's happening here is tough to watch. Then on top of that, though, you have to also consider that maybe she, as in Dr. Santos, may have had something go on in her past, and that is sort of clouding her judgment over what is potentially happening in this situation.
Yeah,
So,
she
like,
was very upset. She seemed to be bringing up her own trauma and kind of projecting that
personal,
into the situation.
very personal,
Yeah.
very personal. So yeah, and I mean, as a doctor, I think you need to treat whatever's happening and take the personal stuff out of it. And I think we've seen with this show that there is a lot more personal a lot more personal, a lot more personal stuff influencing their treatment and their judgment.
Right, things from their own past that they've gone through that they
Right.
are then relating to their current cases.
Which is scary to me, honestly. Like I you want to think of doctors, and I said this before when we talked about this show, but you want to think of doctors as almost like robots. Like, okay, this is what's going on, let's treat it.
right.
And that they don't make mistakes,
They're
which we
supposed to
know
be
they
kind of
do.
impartial to the situation
Hmm.
and not, yeah,
But yeah, they
not
do.
have it reflect anything else.
This show does a good job of showing that they do, that those types of things can cloud their judgment at times.
Right.
And
They're
that's human.
human.
Yeah, it's human.
Think.
Yeah, that's human.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. I don't necessarily like it, but I get it. And then to have a situation like this, she doesn't have any proof.
Filter?
No, I was gonna say she doesn't have any proof other
filter.
than yeah, we know that. We know that. But she doesn't have any proof other than what the mother has said. And how do we know that that mother isn't just lying or just making this all up
Just
to
really
make the dad
despises
look
her
bad?
husband. Yeah.
And then the husband, he can't talk. So he was giving like eye movements and stuff, and he looked guilty, but he only looked as guilty as a person who can't talk can be. So I just don't trust that either.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Dr. Santos is she's got some stuff, man. She's got a lot of stuff, and I don't particularly like her. And
I don't
this
feel
did
this
not
is the best fit for her.
Yeah, and even in a situation like this, I don't think that this was the correct way to approach it. She might be correct, but to get personal on the level that she did, I don't think that's the correct way to approach it.
Mm-mm. Okay. Yeah, it's talking about her attending surgeon's attitude and hospital regs be damned. Santos, with more than a suggestion about her personal history with such abuse, addresses Silas while he's still conscious but still inebriated. Or intubated.
Yes, not
Yeah.
inebriated.
Not inebriated, though they did think he was, but no, intubated.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, that's when she had that little heart-to-heart talk with him, and like we
Mhm.
said, he couldn't say yes or no or anything besides blinking. But
Yeah.
she pretty much warned him, don't do anything. You touch your daughter again, and you're gonna have to deal with me. So
Yeah, but I mean,
that was not really her place.
no, and what's her threat gonna do? Nothing. Her threat isn't gonna do anything. If he's determined to do the things that he was doing, he's just gonna keep doing them. And what is she gonna come and track them down now and like continue to follow up on what's going on? No. So I think it was personal, and she just had some things that she wanted to sort of get off her chest, and she was sort of projecting some of her feelings onto that
Again, no
situation.
filter.
Yeah, no filter. Exactly. That's the underlying theme with her is no filter.
Yep. Constant word vomit. Yes, my favorite patient. Okay, so Dr. Langdon's working with his new case, which is a man with a sprained ankle. I love this guy. The patient, not doctor, just to clarify. And Mel comes in and realizes that the patient is autistic because her sister is also on the spectrum. And she goes ahead and dims the lights for him, calms his apprehension, and takes an interest in his table tennis dreams. So she kind of builds up that relationship with him to comfort him and make him feel better in this situation because he obviously is not feeling safe, and he's has a lot of anxiety at the moment. So yeah, she helps and she talks with him and gets him to trust her and helps him to go through with his what was I going to say?
His treatment plan.
Consults. Yeah,
Mhm.
his treatment plan helps Langdon help him as well. So
Yeah,
I thought that was just really cute.
Do you kind of feel like Dr. King might be on the spectrum a little bit too?
I do. I
Yeah.
do, and I mean, high functioning for sure, but
Mhm.
yes, especially with her sister having
Mhm.
her sister being on the spectrum and having some special needs as well. I do feel like Dr. King does, by the way that she copes with things and can't handle certain situations, her mannerisms, the way she converses. Yes, but that's because we've worked a lot in the past with people with special needs, and so that's something that we recognize right away. But I feel like it is a very good trait to have in this environment because obviously she was very helpful with this patient that the other doctors did not know had autism. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and for her to show that level of humanity and not saying that the other doctor who was then there first didn't have a good level of humanity, but he realized that he wasn't getting through to this patient and verbalized that. And then Dr. King was able to come over and, sort of save the day. And yeah, it was great to see her do that. It was great to see her sort of be in her element and do something well, as opposed to her sort of just being feeble and sort of on the outside looking in, trying to help situations. She sort of took charge in this one and was able to help out at a time when it was definitely needed.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
Yeah, I
She's
like her
adorable.
too. I like her too.
Yeah, she
I
has a huge
feel
heart.
I feel like she is the type of doctor that once she gets more experience, she will be better.
Yes.
As long as she can continue to improve the way she's able to control her emotions.
Yeah, she has the intelligence for everything. I think she's just apprehensive about what to do and what to say, and certain moments make her nervous. But with experience, she should be able to improve on that.
And yeah, it was nice to see a patient sort of on the spectrum as well. I think that people with autism are a faction or a group of people who are sort of not addressed well in shows and not addressed well in movies, and people just sort of show them like being the extreme end of that, where you had a patient here who was very high functioning as well and just needed a little help, and you had someone who understood that,
With the
and
exception of The Good Doctor, who is
yes,
fantastic.
yes,
I love that show.
yeah, usually you have portrayals of autism look completely different, and it's
It's nice to see somebody
not
that
always
has
like that.
autism to be able to function in such a high environment, in such a wonderful profession, and be so helpful. And it's really cool. And then, unfortunately, the episode is ending with Dr. Collins. She goes to the restroom because she's, feeling discomfort again. And we see that there is a lot of blood that has appeared. And so we are assuming that she lost the child at this point, judging by her reaction to everything and the apparent large amount of blood.
Yeah, it's rough, man. I couldn't imagine going through something like that. And knowing her, my guess is it's not like she's just gonna go home. She's just gonna keep working through
She's
it.
a very closed off person.
Yeah.
She's very private, so I can see her just continuing to go about her day, even though she's going through stuff.
Right. And to have that sort of emotional event, traumatic event happening in the background is crazy to think that someone is just like, I'm assuming at this point, but it's crazy to think that she's just going to continue to go on with her day and continue to try to treat patients.
Even what she's gone through so far, like just being in pain for hours of the day and continuing to stay at work. That's
right.
I don't know that I could have done that.
Right. And I know I've been in situations before too where I've been going through relatively traumatic events myself, and sometimes it is easier to just sort of drown yourself in your work as opposed to going home and
As
just
a
dwelling on it.
distraction. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's what she's going to do moving forward. I don't know, not sure, but yeah, I think it was a good episode. I'd put it somewhere in the middle of all the episodes that we've seen.
Yeah.
I've caught on to the pace of this episode or this show now, and so I kind of can understand the way things are moving, which is an accomplishment, because early on I was like, oh, I don't know if there's enough time, and now I think there is enough time to tell a solid story. So yeah, what did you think of the episode?
I liked it. I feel like it didn't have as much stuff as the other episodes did. This one only focused on a few patients as opposed to a larger number, but I thought it was really good, and I liked all the time that they gave to the patients that they did show on this episode.
Yeah, so what did you think? Please let us know in the comments below. Hit that notification bell. hit the like button as well.
Subscribe, please. Leave a comment. We'll talk to you. Let us know your thoughts.
Yes, we respond to every comment, each and every one of them. So yeah, drop one and get in the conversation with us. Let us know what you think of the show. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And we appreciate you for checking out this episode of Watch Stuff with us. Don't be a stranger. And we'll see you when we see you. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And today we are continuing our coverage on The Pitt. This time we're doing episode 8. This has been a great show. I love it. I love it.
Too.
So please hit that like button, drop a comment below, hit that notification bell, and also subscribe. Do all the things because we need you to do all the things to help out our channel.
Please
and we would appreciate it.
And appreciate you.
Yes.
A ton.
Personally.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes.
Now let's review the show.
Yes. This episode was cool. They had a lot of really interesting patients.
A lot of stuff.
Way
happening.
More than last episode.
Yes.
So it was fun because each patient was had a big story. So we start off. We talk about Collins. She ran into Dr. Robbie, and he was like, "Are you okay?" Because of what had happened at the end of the last episode. He didn't know of that, but he had seen her acting a little off that day. And so he was asking her, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm fine," and just kind of walked away, obviously not wanting to discuss what happens with him or maybe anybody else. But luckily we did have the hospital's little guardian angel step in.
Yes. I feel like Dana is the hospital coach.
Yes.
She's like the person who gives everybody what they need when they need it.
Yep. So she stepped in, noticed that Collins was going through some stuff.
Looking off, man.
Yeah, so luckily they were able to talk it through, and Collins was, she processed some of those emotions in the moment, and then she went back to work. So
yeah,
I don't know. She's a tough lady.
At the end of the last episode, we were kind of wondering yo, is she going to continue to go to work or is she going to go home? But yeah, just like we figured, she's staying at work, and I can understand that because it would be super tough to just go home and dwell on it, I guess. Mm-hmm. So she's just going to try to drown herself. Ooh, bad pun. She's just going to try to absorb her job as opposed to dwell on her situation. So
yes.
Speaking of drowning.
Yeah. So then a patient came in.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time rolling into that.
Yeah, I know.
Good job,
I know. That's all I was
man.
Ooh.
Okay, so we had a 6-year-old drowning victim that a 6-year-old drowning victim that was admitted to the ER, and so see what was going on with her. That 6 years old, so young. That's always scary when there's a child.
Yeah.
Then we went on to the college age victim that went through the fentanyl overdose. His parents had finally agreed to let him donate his organs as he had wanted to originally. So they did this little procession through the hallway to pretty much just show support to the family, thank him for his donation. And so they wheeled him down the hallway, and all the staff in the hospital lined both walls, and just to, show support and love for the situation.
And then too, it's one of the few breaks that you see the doctors sort of have, and it's not like an actual break, right, but almost a break in the action where they took the time to stop to pay their respects to this young man who passed away. And it was tough to watch, and I could tell that the parents of the boy were very appreciative of the doctors doing that. And to see the mom, who was someone who I felt like was very skeptical, she wasn't very supportive of the doctors initially, but to see where she was at and her appreciation for what they did and everything that they did, it was a good character arc for her, and it was a good way to see that, like, hey, and for her to realize that, like, I know that they did the best that they could. She's upset about losing her son, but
Right.
these doctors did everything that they could, and that they're showing the respect of stopping what they're doing right now in order to pay respects to her son who had passed away. So I think that she was very appreciative of that, which was cool to see.
Yeah, and it was really cool when Dr. Robbie went over and hugged her too, and
Mm-hmm,
was
mm-hmm,
saying, "Can we come to the visitation or the funeral,
mm-hmm.
and to pay our respects there?" And they were really, the parents were moved by that they'd even want to attend. So I thought that was sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
So back to the girl, the drowning victim.
Mm-hmm,
That was a whole situation where the little girl and her sister had been playing outside,
mm-hmm,
and I believe it was a ball that went over the fence and it went into the pool. The grandma was babysitting, but she didn't know that she didn't see them climb over the fence and to go get the ball.
mm-hmm.
And so she went ahead and went in the pool.
Yeah, the little
The
one,
sister
the
went in the
younger
pool.
one, yeah.
The little sister went in the pool to go get it and didn't know how to swim.
Mm-hmm,
And so then her older sister jumped in to help her and then got the little sister out, but then the older sister could not get out and swim
mm-hmm,
herself either.
mm-hmm.
So she's the one that was taken to the hospital, and the parents obviously are distraught. The grandmother is distraught, and they are saying that there's no way that she is unfortunately going to survive this, due to her potassium level and the cardiac arrest and how she's been unresponsive for so long. And so everybody in the hospital was very upset about that because it was a very, you know, si- tough situation with a little
Yeah.
child.
Yeah, it's tragic. And seeing someone that young pass away and then having to deliver that news. We've seen them deliver, bad news to people multiple times over this show. And I've realized now that I'm sure it's a doctor, and I don't mean tactic in a bad way, but it's a doctor tactic to give the medical reasoning behind why you're doing something. And that sort of gives you an in and a justification for the next thing that you're going to say. So they broke out the scientific talk about how the potassium levels were too high, and that meant that she was not going to be able to regain consciousness and be brought back. So that is the evidence that will help the parents know and understand it, like, yeah, she's passed away, and
because her body
this
was
is what has to be
warming
done.
up, and they
Right.
thought that there was
You
hope
feel like
that
she's
she'd be able
doing
to come
better.
back. But just
Mm-hmm.
because the body's warming up to
Mm-hmm.
getting closer to room temp does not mean that
Mm-hmm.
she's with them anymore.
Yeah, and like I've personally dealt with situations like that too, or with a situation like that too, where you had someone who was in a coma and was feeling like making movements and sort of like mumbling things, and you think that they're getting better, but they really aren't. And it's a tough pill to swallow, and you need doctors to explain to you why the things that you're seeing aren't necessarily good signs. So it was really cool to see that this show goes through those lenses, and like the realism on here is on par with nothing else I've ever seen in a medical show before.
No, I would agree because I've watched all the medical shows almost.
Yeah. You love them.
I do, and this one definitely is very realistic. It is more typical trauma that you would see in an ER, as opposed to all the kind of crazy or far-fetched ones that you see in episodes of other doctor shows. Not to mention, you don't have quite as much personal staff drama going on. I mean, you have a little bit in this show, but not nearly as much. No like relationships, office
Yeah.
hookups, like
Yeah, it's not as salacious on that level.
no, it's more focused on the patients,
Mhm.
and I do like that.
I
And
do too.
going back to the little girl, her little sister,
Mm.
that relationship that Dr. King built with her
Mhm.
and was talking with
Mhm.
her and
And
brought
the
her back
bear.
the bear.
Mhm.
That was so sweet. I love that she was there for her, and was kind of able to help talk to her about the situation and let the little one vent about, my sister saved me.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, and it's I understand like as a person on the outside looking in, shows like this give you a peek into the types of traumatic situations that these doctors have to deal with. Like, I could not imagine having to do this. Like, and for Dr. Robbie, he's probably done this type of situation hundreds of times now. And like, that has to take an unbelievable toll on a person emotionally. And it just,
Mentally.
my heart goes out to the doctors who are able to do these types of things and still provide, amazing care for people, because you give up a piece of yourself by doing this type of job. The
And
same
we know
thing
they
for
don't go
teachers.
home and shake it off, because that's
Right.
not, everybody
Right.
says just shake it off, leave work at work and go
No.
home.
No.
That's not how things
No.
work. If you actually care about what you're doing and the people that you work with, you don't just leave that at work and go home and just pretend like nothing happened.
And I work at a place where I'm able to leave, 99% of things at home. But even I have certain situations that occur that you end up bringing it home with you, and you have to figure out different ways to cope. And this is sort of just a tangent on doctors in general, but man, like, it's
We appreciate
amazing.
you.
Yeah, it's amazing what you do. So yeah, we definitely appreciate you.
Yeah. And then I guess the other patient I'd like to talk about is Willie. Willie
Yeah.
was so cute.
Yeah.
So he came in, and as they were working with him and trying to figure out, what was going on with him, he kind of started dropping some medical terminology.
Yeah.
Or he was just like, "Oh yeah, you need to do this for me," or "This is wrong, you need to do this." And they
And
were
he knew
like,
certain
"How do you
medications
know?"
and stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
they're like, "How
Right.
do you know that you need to have this administered, or that this is something that we need to do?" So he kind of came out and said that he was a field trained first responder with the Freedom House Ambulance Service of the 1960s in Pittsburgh. And so he said that they were the heroes of Hill District, and his son was adding about his father and the Freedom House medics, and said that they were pretty much a bunch of young black dudes saving lives. So they were, just
It was almost
volunteering to help.
Yeah, it was almost like what you would imagine, like, and I watch a lot of superhero shows, but you would almost imagine like a group of vigilantes. So they were operating outside of the police and the normal medical system in order to help people who were not getting the help that they need. A lot of times those were people of color, and also people who were impoverished people. And they were out there doing these things, and helping to deliver these people to the hospital to get adequate care, but also providing care in the process. And yeah, you don't think about that angle of it, but back then there, hospitals were different. The world was different,
and there were not as many hospitals.
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't always get to a hospital or in time. So,
and you needed these supplemental sort of like organizations or groups to help out in these situations. And they were frowned upon by police. They were frowned upon by the traditional medical community. But
how dare they help others?
Right. But they served a very, very, very important purpose. And it was cool to see that the Pitt was able to shine a light on that.
Yeah.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about before we stop was the situation up here with, you had the young lady who Dr. McKay was working with, and it seemed like she had some sort of she looked like she was showing signs of having a disease, a transmitted disease. I'm not gonna say the other word because I know YouTube doesn't like that stuff, but yeah, so it seemed like she had that. They started questioning her, and then some of her answers and the way her demeanor was kind of presented that maybe something was going on behind the scenes. And then you had
her
over aggressive boss.
Isn't it at a bank or something?
I thought she was an accountant or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
either way,
something like that.
Why would you bring your boss? They don't even seem friendly. You know, it's
and
very
she was
shady.
The boss was very overprotective, very secretive about
Answering
the different
for
things
her.
that she did. Yeah, answering for her, cutting her off. Like, it just came off as very weird and very awkward, and it raised it made Dr. McKay's spidey senses tingle a bit. So she definitely was trying to stay on top of that situation, and I can't wait to see where that goes because I got those vibes too. And I know that it's a show and
It
I'm
was
supposed to
weird.
feel that way, but yeah, it was definitely weird. Something is going on
Not
there.
normal interactions. You don't usually
Yeah.
have your boss come to the hospital with you and answer all the
Mm-mm.
questions for you when you can very well speak for yourself.
Right. And when she wanted to answer questions, she was like actively cutting her off. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, what's going on here?
Or she'd look at her boss and let her boss answer for her, and that's strange. Very strange.
I thought that this last line that I have highlighted from the Decider was pretty cool too. And it says, doesn't it make your heart beat faster? The way this show refuses to pause between its multiple emotional triggers. I'm going to go back next episode to letting Katie read these things because I cannot read correctly. But yeah, I thought that was so true. Like, you don't really have a moment to breathe during this show. Sometimes you get episodes of shows and moments in shows that are just filler and sort of designed to move the story forward. There might not be as much progression or action, but this show is unrelenting when it comes to that. And in the beginning, it took a while for me to catch on to that and to like enjoy it. But like, man, the longer the show goes, the more I like it. And the more I see like the genius behind it.
I like the style. It's very different, but it keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
It's very
Oh,
cool.
for sure. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite shows that we're watching right now, and you're watching with us. So yeah, that's episode 8 of The Pit. What did you think? Drop a comment below. We love to talk as we have a show. So we also like to type. And if you can drop a comment below, we will respond to that comment like we do every other comment that anybody has ever left. So I get those notifications on my phone. Katie gets them on her phone. Sometimes she responds. Most of the time it's me responding. But we would love to keep this conversation going. So please drop that comment below. And do all the other things like...
Hit like, hit subscribe, leave the comments, notification bell, and continue to watch our show. Was that everything?
That's it. You nailed it.
I did it.
I'm JD.
I'm Katie, and I'm
Thank
pretty
you.
proud of myself.
Yes, you should be. You should be. You like steered the boat this time. That was awesome. We appreciate you for checking out another episode of Watch Stuff with us. We will see you when we see you. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with us. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And we are covering episode 9 of The Pit, the great show that is on HBO Max right now. So if you are enjoying this review and the show
And this mug.
and these mugs, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified each and every time we go live
In 2025.
So let's get this review going.
So the episode started off where we had the cliffhanger from, well, not the cliffhanger, but we had all the feels from the last episode prior.
This show isn't like the entire show is a cliffhanger.
It really is. It just kind of keeps rolling because
Yep.
it's still the same day.
Yep, all one day.
So we had just gotten over the fact that the little girl passed away because of the drowning incident. So we were feeling a little heavy about that. But we don't get to feel heavy about it for long because there's so much drama and so many patients to see.
Yep.
Couple being these two women that decide that they're going to all out brawl
Duke it out.
in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And over vaccines and masking.
Yeah. So yeah, the background behind it was there was one mother who just offered a mask to the other one's child, and then that one that got the mask offered to them, their mother took offense to them offering that mask. So then they somehow turned into an all-out brawl. And I mean, like, I hate that things like this are prevalent, but this is another nod to the great production work on this show to just put out there that, like, this is a situation that's totally plausible. Like, I completely could see this happening.
Bring about the 2020 vibes again.
Yeah,
about
man.
Should we or should we not wear a
Yeah,
mask?
and I'm not.
And should we or should we not vaccinate our children? It's just that
Yeah.
I don't even get involved in that.
I don't want to get involved into it. All I'm gonna say is that this was very realistic, and I could see a situation like this happening. And I love this show because they continue with the realism.
Especially after all the time that you've spent in the waiting room, you're anxious, you're crabby.
Yep.
Stuff
Sick.
happens. You're sick. Yeah, you're not feeling good. It's more than just waiting. You feel like crud.
And it ended with the one lady who decided to punch the other lady getting a tooth lodged into
her
hand. Yeah.
Yep. And luckily we have the guardian angel of the hospital, Dr. Evans, comes back and she yells at them and is like, you are adults. There are children here. This is not appropriate to do in a waiting room or anywhere. And
yes. And
she said a lot of stuff that was pretty
oh yeah, she's
bad A.
She's the MVP of the show.
Yeah.
Like by far to me, she's the MVP of the show.
Yep.
And I think that she has this nature about her that's extremely calming. And on top of being calming, she's knowledgeable. She knows how to deal with people, and she doesn't ever seem like a pushover, but she still has that human compassion that comes out of her as well. So like that's a tough combination. Because usually you get people on either side of that fence. They're either, a hard butt or they're overly compassionate.
Yeah.
And I think that she is able to ride the line between both of them very well. And that's why she's exceptional at her job.
Yep. And even though those two women were throwing a huge fit in that waiting room, they are not our least favorite person in that waiting room. And that would be the man who is named Doug Driscoll, and he has been having a tantrum since he got there for having to wait.
Pouting.
He is,
crying.
He's the ultimate
Angry.
baby of the room. And I don't even know if they've disclosed what's even wrong with him. He says he thinks he has had a heart attack. It's a silent one. And he just kind of keeps saying things to try to get back there, but I don't know what the real reasoning is for him being there. However, he is very rude, beyond rude. Rude to everybody, especially especially one of the nurses there. That would be Nurse Mateo. He's very rude to him because of how Nurse Mateo looks. He is very rude to other people because of how they look. He's very rude to doctors and nurses for not putting him first because he feels like since he pays his taxes and since he has great insurance, he should be first. We don't like him.
No,
he's
not
terrible.
one bit.
He's very terrible.
There's one thing that I can say that's cool about this show too, is that we get to it at the end with everything that happens. But I feel as though that's probably the end of that story with him. And it really led to nothing. Like a lot of times you have shows where you would think that like, okay, as an avid TV watcher, watching this episode unfold, I see that he's going to have to sign a waiver to leave the hospital.
Correct.
The first thing that pops in my mind, saying that he doesn't want treatment. The first thing that pops in my mind is that he's going to walk out of here and something's going to happen, and then they're going to have to bring him in and treat him. But that is not the direction they go with it at all.
No, and I thought that maybe he was going to do something drastic, like hurt himself further so that he would get seen sooner. But that is not the way it went either.
Yeah. And it went a totally different route. And we'll talk about that route that it went at the end of this episode. But.
As if we couldn't dislike him more.
Right? Yeah. He goes and
does the most.
Yeah, the most.
The very most. So yeah, he's poop. Then we go to
Dr. Langdon.
Oh yeah,
And
Dr.
snapped
Langdon.
on Dr. Santos.
Yeah, he kind of had his reasons, but he went overboard by far. It was very, very rude and so far out there that he was insulting her knowledge and her profession and saying that she was terrible and shouldn't even be working there.
I think there's ways that he could have said it better because nothing that he said was false. Like he said everything that needed to be said,
it was
and she
how
needed
he
to
said
be
it,
dropped
and the
down
fact
a
that
peg.
there was
Right.
a patient still in the room with them, conscious or not.
Inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of that, too, we had Santos who decided to cover for Garcia and basically take the fall for something that she didn't do, even though she did come up with the solution. So, in a normal situation with a doctor that I do like, I think that I would have been like, oh, that was very admirable of them. But with Dr. Santos, I'm like, you've already done too much. Like you're all the way on this
We're
side.
all in agreement, Dr.
And
Santos.
yeah, like,
you kind of
whatever,
stink.
whatever. Yeah.
But
I'm glad that you're trying to redeem yourself now, but it's like too little too late.
yeah, she was right in that moment with that diagnosis, and that was great. That's great. But and it's nice of her to try to be the hero and take one for the coworker of hers. But nah, we still don't really like you. Sorry, Santos. So yeah, he had a blow up moment. I'm not even sure what proceeded to,
Well, I think it was just a combination of the situation that had happened earlier with her, trying to make the call on something which led to the patient getting sicker. And then having this situation occur, and
he's just over her.
Right. I think he's just done. Like, and he reads her the way that we have read her, and he doesn't like her. Right. He doesn't think that she's professional, and because of that, it's bleeding over into the way he interacts with her, which is a normal human thing, but is not appropriate at the hospital.
Yeah.
Like you can the way that Dr. Robbie does after this, and that he sees Dr. Langdon and says like, hey, no, stop, come here, and like pulls him over to the side and then talks to him and sort of gets in him, but
that's how it should have been handled in the first place.
That's how it should have been done. Yep, that's exactly how it should have been done. And I think that Dr. Robbie is professional, and he was also teaching a lesson like, hey, this is how you need to do something like this. When you need to have a conversation with somebody who you don't like what they're doing, this is how you do it. Not in front of a patient, not get into a shouting match, not cursing. Like none of that stuff is appropriate.
You got to keep it professional. It's a workplace. Yep. So from there, then we went on to
Oh, wait. I'm going to interrupt you.
Oh, no, go ahead.
There's one other thing that we had highlighted that I wanted to talk about. The what drives Dr. Santos. And I thought that was a good point for us to talk about. Like, why is she there? Like, what is her thing? Like, what is her reasoning? Because she seems like it's just a job for her.
She doesn't seem like one that is like, I really want to help people.
Right. I want to help people. No, not at all. Not at all. And I feel like she is one of those people who is good at something, and that's why she does it. And she's probably been great in her classes. She's probably done very well, because I could see her being the type of person who is going to write an excellent report, who's going to be able to present on something very well. But then when it comes to those interpersonal interactions, it's horrible. And that's something that you can't really judge outside of seeing this person in the act. So yeah, I don't know what drives her.
I still feel like there's past trauma that we don't know about her, or situations that she's gone through that may have led her to choosing this career. But she needs to take a chill pill. She's a little much.
And in a regular show, I would feel as though they're going to give us something that's going to make us more empathetic of her. But this is not a regular show, and they may just leave it as is, that she's just,
because in real life, not all crummy people turn out to be amazing people that we really like.
Yep.
There's just crummy people in the world.
Some people.
Yep.
They crap.
Just stink. Yep. So then we go back to the human trafficking patient that we had where she had that boss that seemed to be very overbearing, answering for her, very it was a very awkward, uncomfortable situation where this grown lady didn't get to speak for herself.
Also, it was giving off vibes of her being part of that she was a sex worker. I can't really figure out some PG-13 way of saying it, and I guess just saying what it is okay enough, because I didn't say anything bad. But that she was doing this stuff at least partially against her will, and it had Dr. McKay's spidey senses tingling, and she also went to go get Dana and have Dana help to try to coax this woman into admitting that there was something going on. So like they did extra tests, they were sort of like alluding to different things and saying different things behind
pulled her
the
away
scenes.
From her boss, so
right,
they could have that heart
separated.
Yeah,
right. So you had that going down, and it's interesting to see how that eventually unfolded and turned out, and that she didn't really want any of that stuff. And
She took the pen.
she did take the pen. There was
So-
explain the pen. Explain
Okay,
the pen.
so the pen was a hospital pen, but it had information inside after you took the pen apart that had the phone number for an emergency call. I'm not sure if it was just for those being like trafficked or those in danger or what exactly the number was for, but to get help. So that was like a secret way to kind of give people the resource to contact somebody that can help them if they want help. They tried handing her all these flyers,
Yeah.
pamphlets, and things when she was there in front of her boss, and her boss was like, "No, we're good." But luckily, with the pen, that was a little more like on the DL. So we're glad that she took that, and hopefully she gets the help she needs because
If she needs the help, now that was my.
if she wants the help,
Yeah,
because
there you
she
go.
seems,
There you go.
yeah. I don't know.
That was the other thing that I thought in this episode too, and it was the same sort of vibe that Santos had, but it was more professional. Like we had the other episode where Santos felt like the child was being there was an adult that was being inappropriate with her, and in this episode you had McKay trying to get someone the help that she felt that they needed. There comes a certain point in time though where if a person doesn't want your help, you just need to let it go,
You
and
can
you
only
can't
do so much
force
to
it.
help
And I
somebody.
felt like she was kind of forcing it at certain points. And
Yeah.
if this is your life and this is what you want to live and this is what you want to be, and I've tried to subtly hint at it, there's no way that this woman didn't understand what she was hinting at, and she doesn't want to say it. You got her alone and she still doesn't want to say it. You just kind of got to let it go. And
Yeah.
you can take a victory, take a dub by her keeping the pen and hope that maybe in the future she's going to use
and knowing that you
number.
did all you could to help her at that time.
But don't become overbearing. And I felt like McKay was kind of getting overbearing with
She
it.
was a little bit, yeah, but she really, really, really wanted to help her, so
Yep.
she had a good interest. But
Yep. Now get to the point with my boy Whitaker and his shining moment of the show thus far.
oh, sweet Whitaker, I feel like we haven't seen him too much until this
No,
episode. It was
yeah,
like, I think
yeah.
maybe he was still trying to figure out Scrubs, but
Mm.
going through all the pairs of
Yeah,
Scrubs.
yeah,
No. Speaking of that, though, he
Yeah.
did seem to make a little friend.
yeah.
Some girl that keeps giving him Scrubs. So
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
made a little friend there. But
Mhm.
no, he
I thought you
so-
were talking about something else when you said little friend.
Oh, no, but that was there too. So Whitaker, his patient that he had that was brought in, that they brought him in because they
He was having like a schizophrenic moment.
he just seems like he was
He
kind
was-
of out
yeah,
there.
He was
I don't know
struggling.
if they knew it was schizophrenia, but they knew he was kind of going
Mhm,
through some stuff
mhm.
and that he was homeless.
Mhm.
And they brought him in, and there was the incident in a prior episode where he
Went
this
potty.
homeless man, yeah, kind of urinated all over the place and chose to do so kind of all over poor Whitaker,
Mhm.
which was another pair of scrubs. And so, but the man, I guess, had gotten some care after being there a few hours and wanted to speak to Whitaker and apologize to him. And that was really sweet. He
Mhm.
was saying, yes, he's schizophrenic. Yes, he's homeless. Unfortunately, because of the combination of the two, he doesn't have access to the medication he needs in order to help him stay more stable. And so they came up with a little plan to be able to help him get his medication. They are going to take it to him every month. And so that can help him keep his sanity a little bit and feel better about himself and might help him get on a better track.
Mhm.
So it was really nice to see him apologize to Whitaker, and Whitaker, took off. He came in there
Yeah.
all bundled up.
He had
got
like the hair.
he had a plastic mask,
net.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was expecting.
Can you blame him though?
No, he was expecting it to be another waterworks show, but he luckily it didn't go that way, and he was showing that he was understanding and of this man's situation by taking off some of his gear and saying that he would personally take him his medication every month. So that was really sweet.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And then there was the other hero moment that Whitaker had by getting rid of the rat that had been plaguing
True.
them that originally started with this guy. So like they took his
He
clothes
wrestled that thing.
open and rats came pouring out, and yeah, they were able to get one of them after Crosby had attacked it.
Crosby,
The
we
little
love
dog.
Crosby. He
Yeah.
might be my favorite in this episode.
Right.
So Crosby's the cutest little dog
Mm-hmm.
who came in with a man who had terrible road rash because of a
Yeah.
woman that had accidentally hit him because she had
Mhm.
passed out, and that was a
Mhm.
whole nother thing. But
Mhm.
but yeah, so
Yeah, Whitaker
Crosby was
Whitaker used his country boy skills and was able to dispatch of the rat,
yeah.
which I know you were kind of sad about.
I know, like that rat
You
was
like
living
all
his
pets though.
I used to have rats. I do like all pets. That's why I work with animals. But yeah, so Whitaker, that was, he did good. That was his little moment in the show. But then we move on to, what was the little pup's name again? I forgot his name.
Crosby?
Yes, thank you, Crosby. Brain fart. So Crosby, cutest little pup. He ended up being cared for kind of in the patient lounge, or no, the staff lounge, by Dr. King. She was hanging out with him and giving him love and stuff, and he almost was turning into a therapy dog. And yeah, so then
Yeah, the part that I liked about that was that Crosby was allowed to be there, and then they even brought Crosby over to care or to while his owner was like getting the pieces of pavement removed from his leg.
they were like,
they
just
brought
say he's a
Crosby
therapy
over
dog.
there.
Yeah, they all were like, yeah, it's fine to say he's a therapy
And I thought that was cool because that's something that they didn't have to do,
or
but it
emotional
just
support dog, I
right.
suppose. Yeah.
And it was something they didn't have to do, and it was a way of showing that they were able to still be empathetic of the situation and sort of bend the rules in a good way.
Yeah.
We've seen them also kind of bend the rules in a skeptical kind of way.
Yeah.
So seeing them do it this way was pretty cool to me.
Yeah, and Crosby also helped Dr. Langdon after he had his blow up to kind of, deflate and get some cuddle time in. So that was really cute.
Yep.
Then there was, so they all had a big debriefing after that young girl passed away from the drowning incident. And so Dr. Robbie had called them all in a room to be able to talk about it and, kind of having it be a learning experience and give everybody a chance to kind of have a moment. And
that was cool to see too.
Yeah.
And I like that Dr. Robbie sort of leads these sort of things as, he's that's his job, right? But he has done this more than anyone else probably. And he talked about how he had his very first patient on his first day that he lost in a very tragic way, and that he still he got emotional about it then, and this is like years later. And he got emotional about it, and you see that sort of pain and that sort of burden is still
something that lingers years later.
It stays, and that has to be so tough.
Despite all the therapy you could do in life, you're still not gonna forget things. So if something hits home hard, then you carry those emotions with you.
Right.
But yeah, that was a sweet moment. But then there was a not so sweet moment. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna discuss one more thing prior to that.
Yes.
So there was that lady that had been in the hospital. She had admitted herself because she wanted her son to be seen. This was in the first episode.
Yeah, one of the first few.
Yeah, she wanted her teenage son to be seen because she thought there was some stuff going on with him that was scary and illegal. And so she wanted him to be seen, but he kind of caught on to that and had left. So they just showed her again talking with doctors and still not having her son come pick her up. He's still AWOL. So obviously we're not days into the show, we're hours into the show, but we still don't know where he is, and I still have a bad gut feeling that it's not going to go well when we do find where he is.
I feel like it's leading towards something. They wouldn't have brought this back again now and then have nothing happen, and then just be the end of it. Like, I think in the last, few episodes, something's going to happen.
I feel like in the very last episode, it's going to be something, and it's going to be that little cliffhanger that rolls you into day 2 whenever we see that.
Right.
But yeah, moving on to the crummiest part, I believe, of this episode was when we had sweet Dr. Evans outside. Is she a doctor?
Yeah,
she is a doctor. Okay.
Of course.
I've had a brain fart on her position. Yes, she is outside just taking a moment, taking her break, and gets knocked down, gets punched in the face, knocked out.
by our jerk, Mr. Driscoll.
Yep, the guy that decided to take that paper saying that he did not want medical treatment, and refuse that. The guy who thinks he's high and mighty and God's favorite. So he then went over and assaulted her, and it leaves her on the ground. She's alert, but leaves her on the ground, and that's how that episode ended.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, this was not the route that I thought that they would go. Like, I thought that he was gonna walk out and just like pass out or have a heart attack, and then they have to bring him in and treat him, and then everybody feels bad because he waited so long, but you also don't care because he's been a jerk. But to see him going like full on assault Dr. Evans, like,
he was mad that
she was not expecting.
He was mad
that.
about the situation and mad that she was on a break because he didn't feel like anybody should get a break since the waiting room was full. But we don't care what he thinks.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I get what he's saying, but in no way do I agree or condone his behavior. And
no.
I really hope that we get some sort of resolution to this, and this isn't just the way that it ends for him, and that we don't see him anymore.
I'm sure that he's going to be hauled off somewhere. Somebody's going to find him and take him behind some bars. So, and hopefully Evans is okay, and that she didn't get any head trauma from that. Right. But I guess if she did, she's in the best place possible. So we'll see.
I got a feeling that with him, he's going to come back in some sort of unfortunate way. Like, he walks away from here and is walking down the street and then gets struck by a car or something like that. It's like,
and then they have to bring him in to get help, and everybody's like, well, we don't really want to because he just assaulted her and also has been terrible all day in this waiting room. So yeah.
So yeah, the way that this episode ended definitely like ratcheted up the drama. And I didn't think that there's a drama of all the stuff that happens with the patients, but to see like this physical sort of level of drama, like I was not expecting that at all.
I really wanted Dr. Evans. I really wanted to see her just like get back up off the ground real quick and just like swing around.
And then like he literally took out the MVP of the show. Like we said in the last episode, like she is the MVP. She's the Rock.
Angel of the ER.
Right. She's the Rock, and she got knocked. So I don't know what to do or what to think, but I can't wait to see where this goes.
And his little white trainers.
Yeah, I know. Like
this guy.
Dude, and I feel like everybody knows people like him, and whatever. I'm not gonna get there. But whoever the actor is playing him, you're doing a great job, sir.
It's a good thing you were born into the face that you have that
that's very
makes
punchable.
You. Yes. Doing great. You got all the roles for that.
So yeah, what did you think of episode 9? Like I said before, this is definitely growing into one of my favorite shows on television. I can't wait to see where it goes moving forward. Please drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell, so that you can be notified each and every time we go live
in 2025. What are we gonna do next year?
I don't know. We have to figure out another rhyme.
We didn't do anything last year either, but
nope. We'll
just
figure
luckily
out
this year it rhymes.
We got it. And if you made it this far in the video, you get an award and a clap for making it all the way to the end. Yes, all the way to the end. So, and if you haven't subscribed at this point, you need to do it, because there's no reason to watch our videos fully and then not subscribe, because we're awesome.
Please and thank you. We appreciate you. And share our videos with other friends that you know that are watching the same show.
It helps, because we're a little channel and we're trying to get big.
We're small. We're like small business owners, but we're
small.
We're small. SMOLL. Small. Share the love, please.
Yeah. I'm JD.
I'm Katie.
And we will see you when we see you. Peace. On this episode of Watch